your job, little
Man, this ain't Saturday. Hey,
we in two different lanes,
you can't navigate.
We in two different games, you
Playing patty cake.
Brother, you're lame, you're
Shane Battier. Yo, why is Shane Battier catch a stray right there? So Shane Battier caught a wild straight.
Yeah, out of shape. My mind run a mile a minute. The sky's the limit. I'm
So high, I'm not. This J. Cole, like top 5 J. Cole song, by the way.
In it, my ride just tinted, my knob getting slobbed up in it. She hollering God, man, you
Would've thought that guy was in it. Just a nigga God and yo, this song, Rise and Shine, Two-Face off the Friday Night Lights mixtape. Premeditated Murder for sure. Those are like top 3 of top 5 J. Cole songs. What up, Zero in the chat, Anise in the chat, what up? Why you nodding with it? This whole song, man, this is my gym song for real, for real. I'll be listening to this all day, every day in the gym. And I'll be listening to that Johnny P. Scotty. When they see it without Aaron in the chat. No, he wrong. Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, yo, Friday live stream. You already know how this goes. Thank y'all for joining. Today we gonna be reacting to FD Signifier. I think this is the second video that I've seen by him. I think we reacted. When did we react to the other FD Signifier? Did we? I reacted to one of his before, right? Or am I imagining? Am I imagining that FD Sig? I thought I reacted to one of his videos before, but maybe it was a long time ago. Yeah, we done it before. I just can't remember when I did it. So anyway, this is the second video I've seen by dude, and it's very relevant to me because it's about Lupe Fiasco. It was titled "Before Kendrick Lamar There Was ... Lupe Fiasco," but it appears he's changed the name of the video, which is fine. Same content. And y'all know I'm a huge Lupe supporter. Been listening to Lupe longer than I've been listening to Kendrick. I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about this. But anyway, y'all been reading this book lately. I've spent so much time reading self-help books, especially like when I was like 19 or so, when I was in college. I hadn't read like just a straight up nonfiction book in a long time. So this is called The Last Wish. The video game The Witcher is based on this book. And there's like a whole series of books. So I've been reading this. It's interesting. I kind of already know what happens because I played the games. I played The Witcher 1, played The Witcher 2, currently playing The Witcher 3, but fantasy, sci-fi fantasy. It's odd. It's odd reading and not trying to take information from it, right? Kind of just reading about a fantasy world because, again, I just read so much nonfiction throughout my life that it's odd. So anyway, shout out Hunter in the chat, Lupe to go. Yeah, Lupe is like in my top 5 for sure. I'll probably go Jay-Z, Kendrick, Lupe, Nas. That's 4. Jay-Z, Kendrick, Lupe, Nas. I don't know who will be 5. Jay-Z, Kendrick, Lupe, Nas, and I'll have to think about who else is on that list. Lupe is really what the Canadian fans think Kendrick is. I'm gonna get to all my hot takes, but I want to see what FD Signifier got to say first. Let's go to his channel. There you go. Share the screen with y'all. Let's go to his channel. Let's see what he's talking about. Again, this is the second video I've ever seen by FD Signifier. I've had a very brief conversation with him when I was on Potty Mouth. He jumped in the comments. He had some just comments about the video that me and Potty Mouth did. Seems like a cool guy to me. So yeah, the video's 2 hours. We're definitely not going to sit here and watch all 2 hours. Maybe 30, 40 minutes. I'll try to jump around, you know, here and there just based on what he's saying. I really don't know the cadence of his videos. I think the other video that I reacted to, I don't think it was on this channel. The other FD Signifier. I think he has... No, yeah, he has something called Signified B-Sides, right? So this is like the shorter version of his videos, according to, you know, my subscribers. So I don't really know the cadence of how he does these types of videos, but we'll see. All right. So have y'all watched this yet? Lupe, number 1, Jay-Z 2, Joey Badass, Common, Nas. Common's cool, but Common is cool. I have nothing bad to say about Common. 5 might be Saba. Yeah, not for me. Saba's cool, but he's not like Saba, Shmino, all them. They cool, but they not like, I wouldn't put them at least as one of the best rappers for me. FD cool. The problem is he's a Bears fan. Yeah, Bears fans that they've been going through it, the past. I don't know when the last time the Bears been good. The 80s. So anyway, he's from Chicago. FD Signifier. All right, so we're gonna put this on 1.25. Then we're gonna see what he got to say. Let's see the chapters. Beginning stage, Tetsuo, the collapse, pivot, future. Okay. Anime opening. Let's just see. I might skip again. I'm gonna skip around, so don't be mad.
Leave me alone!
How to battle Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, before we start this, let me see if I'm still blocked by Lupe Fiasco. Lupe Fiasco, he did block me. So let me see. We still blocked? Yeah, we still blocked. It's all good though. Yeah, that nigga be bitching on social media. Lupe Fiasco be bitching. Whatever. Oh yeah, Bears went to the Super Bowl in the 2000s. Oh yeah, I do remember that. That's when Devin Hester ran the kickback. Yeah, the opening kickoff. That was a good Super Bowl.
4 things that you have to constantly keep in mind. The first one is intention. You gotta have an intention.
Have you ever seen somebody that remind you of you and you said, holy shit?
Lupe.
Lupe.
Yeah.
Lupe Fiasco?
Second one, authenticity.
I would agree with that. Lupe is definitely off the same, like he's one of Nas's offspring for sure. Lupe, Blue, that's definitely Nas's offspring.
I really fucked with Lupe when he came out, obviously, like, before Touch the Sky was Kick Push, was fucking crazy. Kick Push was fucking phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
Like Ninja Swords and all that shit.
If you have the authenticity from the door, you're not fishing for a reaction. Because when it's authentic, you don't need a reaction. I'm not really interested in battling rooks, but don't get it fucked up. That don't mean I won't cook niggas if niggas keep pushing buttons. I don't want to do that shit personally. But if you want to make a...
And the thing is, Lupe still got some fire music. The whole Drogas, or what was that? Drill music in Zion. Great project. The Drogas Wave, that's probably one of his best projects. Then obviously you got Food and Liquor, you got The Cool. What You Do to Lupe. Lupe was complaining about something, and I forget exactly why I'm blocked, but I think it had something to do with like, he asked, or maybe he dropped a song, and he was posting like about all the haters about the song. Like people was hating on the song. Very few people, but that's like what he was focused on. And I think I replied to my bro, you don't see everybody, all of your fans loving this song. Why are you focused on the hate? Why are you focused on the hate? And then he blocked me. But yeah, Lupe be bitching. No, I ain't gonna lie. Shout out Sammy in the chat.
Professional fool of your motherfucking self. Run up against a demon. Go ahead. Thirdly.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take this off of 1.25 speed because like I think he's got it sped up and then I've got it sped up and I can't understand what's being said.
And this relates to authenticity is time.
Did rapper Lupe Fiasco go too far when he called President Obama a terrorist?
The root causes of the terrorism is the stuff that the U.S. government allows to happen.
Yeah, and people didn't like Lupe when he said this, when he called Barack Obama a terrorist. But when you look at the meat and subject matter of what Lupe was, what he meant when he said that, it's true, no? I mean, Obama was bombing. Yeah, Obama's drone program in the Middle East was insane. Like they was bombing any and everything. Hello, Troy the Contrarian. How are you? I'm fine.
And the foreign policies that we have in place in different countries that inspire people to become terrorists.
The fourth one. I am my greatest enemy. There is nobody out there in the world, nowhere, that can do me like I can do myself.
Pause.
I'm my own worst enemy. I go against the grain.
I don't care if it's Glaze, but Samurai. Yeah, Samurai was good. That's Lupe's most recent was Samurai. Drogas Wave, Tetsuo and Youth, The Cool, FNL are 9 and 10s. And I think that's right. I think that's right. Samurai, yeah, 9s and 10s. I don't think I've ever missed a Lupe Fiasco project. I've listened to every single thing he's put out, even the mixtape, The Revenge of the Nerds, the Animated States. I've listened to everything he's put out.
Way too much. I disagree way too much. I bring up too much counterpoint. I always point out the contradiction. So all you gotta do is wait.
Yeah, it is hard being a Lupe fan. That's for dang sure. That's for dang sure. Not necessarily as it pertains to his music. It's the other stuff, you know? And then Lupe got this thing where he constantly got Kendrick's name in his mouth. It reminded me of that What's the Dirt video that we watched last week on live, where you had T-Pain constantly talking about Drake. It's like a very similar thing with Lupe and Kendrick, which is very odd. Lupe is who people think Kendrick is. Yeah, I think that's facts.
Facts.
Yeah, of course I listened to the Child Rebel Soldier stuff. Child Rebel Soldier should have been that should have been more fleshed out. We didn't get enough music out of that. All City Chess Club. Y'all remember the All City Chess Club? Lupe, Diggy Simmons, Charles Hamilton. I was on all that, man. But yeah, I think people think Kendrick is this. I agree with the sentiment. Let me say that first. Lupe is, I've been saying this for the longest. He actually is who people think Kendrick is. People think Kendrick is this like, or I'll use an example to explain what I'm going to say better. If there's going to be one rapper who goes on a record or goes in an interview and says free Palestine or calls out a president for being a terrorist or anything like that, it's going to be Lupe. I don't ever see Kendrick doing that. Kendrick is an industry darling. He's beloved by the industry. This is how he wins Grammys and Pulitzers, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. But Lupe is the guy who actually has these stances, and he's going to stand on his stances whether or not they are popular. Like what FD Signifier put earlier in his video, when Lupe called Barack Obama a terrorist, that's a hard line to stand on because Obama was loved. And people didn't want to pay attention to the amount of havoc he was raking in the Middle East with his drone program. But Lupe stood on business. I mean, I don't think Kendrick is going to do something like that. Like I know Kendrick's music very well. And Kendrick is not going to make that type of comment in his music. Like not to that extreme extent. Lupe is. Lupe has songs like American Terrorist. He has all these songs, you know, Conflict Diamonds, where he's talking about the blood diamond trade, talking about De Beers and all this. Like, that's Lupe. That's Lupe. Kendrick is of that same ilk. But whereas Lupe is going to take a hard stance, Kendrick's music is more so like he's confused. Like he's confused, and or confused sounds like an insult. Kendrick is more so like, he's unsure. I got to use the word confused. He's unsure. He's confused. He's unsure about how to feel about certain things as the world around him is going on. He's kind of just reacting, right? Whereas Lupe has taken a hard line stance on things. So yeah, Lupe is, some people will say more extreme. But I think a lot of things people attribute to Kendrick in terms of just being like this social commentary, ultra progressive rapper, I think that's misattributed. I think people misattribute that to Kendrick. That's actually Lupe. Are you saying Kendrick is conflicted? Yes, conflicted. Abusing your influence. The most radical thing Kendrick has done is his Triple X and Blacker the Berry. Yeah, I agree. I think the most radical thing Kendrick has done with his music is definitely Blacker the Berry. Because that's the one time that I can recall off the top of my head where Kendrick comes out and he says something that's unpopular. The whole, why did I weep when Trayvon Martin was killed in the streets? Gang banging made me kill somebody blacker than me. Like Kendrick took a right-wing talking point and validated it. Yeah, why am I complaining? Well, Kendrick is basically saying, like, why are we complaining about police killing black people when black people kill black people? And he got a lot of backlash for that. But I think that's the furthest that I've ever heard Kendrick go politically. I think people misattribute, I think they assume a lot about Kendrick's politics. Whereas with Lupe, you don't have to assume. Lupe is telling you, nah, Obama was a terrorist. America's doing some crazy things in the Middle East. Israel, Palestine. Lupe there's no assumption needed. The most Kendrick will directly say about a president or president politics is we all woke up watching the daily news, praying the election wasn't true on lust. Yeah, sure. And yeah, exactly. That's as far as it goes, right? And even then, that is it's not controversial, right? Lupe is going to be controversial. And I think that's why FD titled this Why It's Hard at Times Being a Lupe Fan. Yeah, just watch the vid, it's good. Yeah, we're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to here and there, here and there. Did you like Lasers? He gets flack from Underground for it. I did like Lasers, but I think the reason why Lupe gets a lot of flack for Lasers is like we being the fans at the time, we protested. Like we did so much for that album to come out, right? We did the most. And when it came out, it was not like his other work. It was way more mainstream. I think Lasers was overhated. And I think I have my Lasers review on top5rapwebsite.com. I said this in my review way back then. Although it was Lupe's weakest album to that point, it was overhated because there are good songs on Lasers.
So a few months ago, I was on a road trip with my family and I was doing all the driving, and I don't like that.
Oh, there's story time.
I'm not a road trip type of guy. I get sleepy easily.
Yeah,
I'm driving at night.
I'm not a road trip guy either. Yo, I'm not even driving to Vegas. And Vegas is like 3 hours from LA. Like, I'm not even driving that, bro. I'm flying to Vegas. I'm not doing all that. All this driving and all this, no.
I don't like driving in unfamiliar places, and with children in the back, it's always just an ordeal. So one of the things I like to do is just play the entire discography of one of my all-time favorite artists. It helps the children go to sleep. It helps me kind of tune out all the anxiety, and it reconnects me with music that is meaningful to me.
FD will explain the resentment that Lupe had for Kendrick near the end. Don't skip that part. I already know why Lupe has resentment for Kendrick. Again, it's the same thing that What's the Dirt explained in his video last week about T-Pain and Drake. T-Pain has this issue with Drake, and the root of it is because Drake came in the game and kind of took a large market share of T-Pain's fan base. Like a lot of T-Pain fans became Drake fans. It's literally the exact same thing with Lupe and Kendrick. Unless FD Signifier has a different reason, which I would be glad to hear. But when Lupe, like if you was a Lupe fan, if you go back, you way back then, if you was a fan of Lupe, there's no way you were not a fan of Kendrick when he first came out. They're just too similar, right? Lupe had this whole thing, we talked about Lasers, and I'm sure FD's going to talk about this, where he could not put out music. Like they wouldn't let him drop the album. And when they did drop the album, people didn't like it like that. Around that same time where Lupe couldn't drop music, when Lasers came out and it was kind of that's when Kendrick Lamar gained a foothold. That's when Kendrick Lamar started to come up. So as Lupe is on the decline, Kendrick is on the incline. And Kendrick, he was able to go, Lupe was a mainstream rapper. He's got multiple platinum records, platinum albums, but Kendrick was able to take it to the next level, right? And a part of that reason is probably because he's not as extreme as, as Lupe can be.
Almost every road trip is the same people. It's the Roots, it's the Mars Volta, it's He Who Shall Not Be Named, it's Kendrick Lamar, and it's Tool. But this particular trip, for some reason, I picked Lupe Fiasco, partly because I realized that I hadn't given his most recent album, Samurai, a serious listen, and partly because it had been a while since I dove through his discography. The way my life is set up now, it's just hard to make time to listen to music like I used to.
Yeah.
I work from home now, obviously, as a YouTuber, so I don't have a morning commute, and I don't want a morning commute back, but I do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel that. When I used to have to a lot of my albums that I listened to, especially 2017 and 2019, it was on that commute to and from work. Nowadays, it's a lot harder. I really only, I have to make time to listen to music. And most of my music listening gets done in the gym. That's where a lot of it gets done. even when I do have downtime, if I'm working on videos or something, like I can't edit a video and listen to music at the same time because I gotta listen to my video and like I gotta edit it. So it really takes a lot to listen to new music nowadays. That's why I'd be pissed off when I hear an album and it's not good. Like, bro, I took time out of my day for this.
Missed the fact that that was an opportunity to spend time with my thoughts or with the most recent releases in music or podcasts. And any Lupe fan will tell you he really should never be background noise. Lupe is one of the few mainstream rappers where to truly appreciate the album early on playthrough, you really shouldn't be doing anything else but paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, you can skip that part. You did it yourself. FD was going to say exactly that. Yeah, I've said this in many videos. I've covered Lupe and Kendrick so much. I've said this in many videos. Like, and I was there, and FD was there. So obviously we are observing the same thing. Like, yes, Kendrick came in and kind of took that same fan base that Lupe had. And this was at a time where Lupe, he couldn't drop music. And then when he did drop, it was so influenced by the label wanting a hit that the fans were disappointed. So now you got your fans looking kind of elsewhere. And then it just so happens you got Kendrick Lamar 2010 right there, kind of doing the same good kid, Mad City thing that Lupe was doing, right? Lupe is this good kid, knowledgeable, intellectual. Sure, he might be into some street things, right? But overall, he's not affiliated. I'm literally telling you the same thing as with Kendrick Lamar, right? Good kid, non-affiliated, may be into some questionable things. They're two sides of the same coin. So as Lupe kind of falls off, the fans who are listening to Lupe at that time, they start looking elsewhere. Boom, Kendrick. And then Kendrick just takes off. And then Lupe kind of has to sit and watch this. And where Lupe kind of has these constraints that his label is putting on him. Like his label is putting all these constraints on him to release something like Lasers. Kendrick doesn't have that. It's quite the opposite. Kendrick, his label is a family, TDE, and he's very supported. So there's like envy that can build up in Lupe. I sat here, I was there and I watched it. So I could only assume that FD is going to come to that same conclusion. Shout out to Anissa in the chat with the bag. Just showing love. Hopefully you do the Lox versus Dipset versus Revisit next month. I still watch that versus from time to time. And make sure y'all go like that comment, Anisse, supporting the channel. I still watch that versus from time to time. I actually thought Dipset was going to do a lot better than what they did. But, you know, Jadakiss is fire.
If you truly want to get Lupe, you have to really listen to what he's saying. It's hard being a Lupe fan. And it's hard being a Lupe fan because it's easy to misunderstand him. I mean, we're talking about the rapper whose lyrics allegedly caused the creation of the website Lyric Genius. However, I have to admit, after literal decades of listening to Lupe Fiasco, sitting down and taking in the music with intention, doing everything short of keeping Lyric Genius open while going through the lyrics, I find myself wondering, do I really understand?
Yo, FD is calling this Lyric Genius. It's like when your old head unk call Pokemon Pokemans. Oh, you got your Pokemans card?
And Lupe,
shout out to FD though.
Better than anyone else. I wonder if anyone has ever fully understood Lupe Fiasco. In fact, if there were a list of words I'd use to describe Lupe and his legacy within hip hop, it include terms like lyricist, rebel, genius, real, but also poorly understood. And this misunderstanding isn't just his complex, cryptic lyrical content or his seemingly schizophrenic alteration between attempts at pop chart success and the most nerdy hip hop shit you've ever seen.
Sure.
It's also in what Lupe is about, what he values and what he's trying to do with hip hop and culture and now technology. And most interestingly to me, why he's trying to do these things, whatever those things may be.
Okay, and interesting. I never thought to think of it like that. Kendrick's parasocial fan base that views him as a savior can do no wrong. Will hate Lupe for doing what they think Kendrick does. Yeah, there's no way you like Kendrick, but you're going to hate on Lupe. It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, you would have to be like a very new Kendrick fan to even twist your mouth to say something like that. So I agree with what you're saying. If I was Lupe, I would have resentment towards Kendrick too. I like both of them though. Yeah, I wouldn't say I would have resentment too, but I can totally understand why Lupe has that resentment. It's like, bro, Lupe was kind of handcuffed due to his label situation. And it's not like Lupe was a flopping ass artist. Lupe was a platinum record selling artist, and was still handcuffed by his label. And then you got Kendrick coming out kind of doing a similar thing as you, but he doesn't have these constraints. Yeah, I can see why he feels the type of way. I ain't gonna lie. The Grammys took out Kendrick's 2016 performance video. That was the most radical thing he's done. Is that the one where he's rapping in a prison outfit? Yeah. Just making sure we up to date on the chats. This FD video reminded me of when Royce pulled the rocket launcher out the closet. Yeah, that was crazy. Yo, Royce the 5'9" was beefing with a guy and he put out an RPG. That's crazy.
In the past few years,
Lupe's music just isn't as good. Nah, you tripping. Lupe's music is just as good as Kendrick's. This is a fact.
facts.
Lupe's music is just as good as Kendrick's. There's no Kendrick album that's markedly better, like noticeably better than Lupe's best album. Like you can put Food and Liquor by Lupe against any of Kendrick's albums and it makes sense. And Lupe is a deeper lyricist. Like Lupe is doing things lyrically that Kendrick does not do. Like Lupe, like the way people kind of do all these reaches with Kendrick and be like, oh, we're not gonna even just watch my super deep breakdowns about Kendrick. People be reaching, right? And I always say, yo, Kendrick is not, he doesn't require this level of scrutiny on his lyrics. Kendrick himself will tell you, how many times has Kendrick said, yo, F double entendres? I mean, he still does them, but he says that because he's making a point to be like, yo, I'm trying to relay a message. I'm not trying to be super duper lyrical all the time. Lupe is trying to be super duper lyrical all the time, right? So Lupe is lyrically what a lot of people misattribute Kendrick to be. Lupe is actually the super deep, super layered, every verse, every bar, the whole verse could be a double entendre, like 2 meanings to the verse, not just the bars within. Like Lupe got a song called Pressure with Jay-Z, where the whole first verse is a double entendre. And then he refers, like, Lupe do crazy stuff in his lyrics. So yeah, I wouldn't say Lupe's music isn't as good. Lupe's best album is just as good as Kendrick's best album. And to this day, Lupe still makes, like, Samurai and Drill Music in Zion, both of those projects are just as good as GNX. They're just as good as Mr. Morale. Tetsuo and Youth is just as good as Mr. Morale. What did Lupe drop? Drogus Wave is better than Damn. Drogus Wave is better than Damn.
Facts.
Like Drogus Wave, maybe that's a video I gotta do, ranking Lupe and Kendrick's projects against each other. Because they're both very elite in terms of music and albums, songwriting, and having creative ideas about their songs. They're both very elite. Yeah, Lupe has got better, if anything. Yeah, Lupe hadn't really fallen off to me. Lupe still makes very GNX, yeah. Lupe is still very good. Like the Samurai joint, I got these, really neat, very beautifully. Like, yo, I mean, Samurai is just as good as GNX. Someone said Food and Liquor is not over T-Pav. It's a lot of revisionist history with To Pimp a Butterfly. You had to have been there. When To Pimp a Butterfly came out, the first reaction on Twitter, like the first 2 days, people did not like To Pimp a Butterfly. Like it was mixed. Whereas nowadays, people view To Pimp a Butterfly as like one of the greatest albums of all time or whatever. No, when To Pimp a Butterfly first came out, it was mixed. Believe it or not, people were saying it sounded like an R&B album. These are the facts.
Facts.
It wasn't until people like me and FD Signifier and these other people in the hip hop, review space, it wasn't until we came out and been like, nah, like, y'all don't understand the funk influence. Like, y'all not even hearing this right. People were saying it sounded like an R&B album. Like, that's not R&B, that's funk. That's George Clinton. It wasn't until like we kind of stepped in, more so them, because I wasn't super popular back then. But it wasn't until like our community of reviewers, like an elitists, step in that the popular consensus on To Pimp a Butterfly changed. People was not it was mixed. I'm not gonna say people wasn't messing with To Pimp a Butterfly, but like them first 2-3 days was mixed until the actual hip hop purists like us stepped in. These are the facts.
Facts.
So yeah, Food and Liquor is just as good as To Pimp a Butterfly. I think Food and Liquor is better. Like I prefer it. I wouldn't say it's better. I prefer Food and Liquor over To Pimp a Butterfly. To me, I would have to put Food and Liquor versus Good Kid, Mad City. That's the real conversation. Or Section 80. You'll get the pleasure to get into your contrarian tendencies and receive a lot of mean comments due to discography comparison. Yeah, it's going to be tough though, because all of their stuff is really good. Like Lupe doesn't really have any bad albums, and neither does Kendrick. So it's a very hard comparison. Lupe has way more music, which is going to help him. And Lupe's mixtapes are like Lupe's early mixtapes are Revenge of the Nerds, right? Those are better than what Kendrick was putting out before the Kendrick Lamar EP. You know, when Kendrick was rapping like Lil Wayne on C4 and all this, Lupe's Revenge of the Nerds is easily better than those than those mixtapes, right? But yeah, that's a whole nother video. Mural is miles ahead of Kenny's best song. I don't even think Mural is Lupe's best song. It's just like his most lyrical, right? It's his most lyrical. Tetsu and Youth is one of the most multifaceted albums ever. It's as good as T-Pab. I don't know what y'all mean. Yeah, people, people really got Lupe messed up, man. people got Lupe messed up. Javi said Lupe has 5 bad or mediocre albums. All right, we'll list the albums by Lupe you think is bad, and we'll get into it.
Lupe has mostly been discussed for one of 3 reasons: promoting his new albums, for which he's released 2 since 2022, the critically acclaimed Drill Music and Zion, an album
great
Lupe
album.
says he only worked on for a couple of weeks, and the aforementioned Samurai, another Lupe's high-concept Galaxy Brain projects, where he imagines an alternative universe where Amy Winehouse is a battle rapper.
The next time you want to come to me and have a battle rap off, I'm going to kill you because I'm a samurai.
I we'll get to it. The second reason he's been in news is the appearances he's made throughout hip-hop media.
Do you take the shift driven by reviewers cynically or as people just being convinced to give new music a chance? Or are you talking about in terms of To Pimp a Butterfly? I think the shift by reviewers as it regards to Pimp a Butterfly was necessary. It's hard to even explain because it's hard to imagine a world where people aren't just drooling all over To Pimp a Butterfly. But I remember when that album came out, it was very mixed, and a lot of people thought it felt like an R&B album. It sounds even silly, but a lot of people felt that way. But that's because they don't know jazz, they don't know funk, they don't know these other elements of Black music. Once we, the review community, stepped out and started pointing out all these different influences and how To Pimp a Butterfly is like more so this nod to Black music writ large, then it changed. In that respect, I don't think it's cynical. I think it was necessary because people wasn't hearing the album correctly. So I don't think it's cynical. I just think it was necessary.
He voiced his indifference for the biggest moment in hip-hop ever over the last decade and seemingly continued a history of perceived slights toward one Kendrick Lamar, the current biggest rapper in the world, and a rapper that he shares a lot of DNA with, if you know, something that many people perceive as driven by jealousy.
What's up, brother?
What brings you to our room of negativity?
Here comes the Kendrick hate.
But everybody responded to Control.
I know, me too.
Yeah, everybody. So even you. But I never dissed them though. That was just the Control response. And I wasn't even talking to him. I was kind of talking to his fans.
And more alarmingly, during that same time, he was personally training an AI how to be a rapper, which is downright scary in its ramification.
A glass of water held up to the lips of a marauder.
Yeah, people are so afraid of AI. I just don't have the same fear of AI or this hatred. I don't have this fear or hatred of AI, but a lot of people do.
That's text effects line, and so now I'm gonna respond to that. Yeah, and that. A glass of water held up to the lips of the marauder.
I have these headphones. Those are Shure headphones. Make sure y'all like the video too. Hit that like button.
Flaky, looking like they haven't had a sip in days.
And it has a lot of people who call themselves Lupe fans, wondering just how hard is it supposed to be a Lupe fan. This is not your typical list of headlines that you might get from an A-list rap icon. A rapper who was once one of the biggest rising stars in the industry.
How much dollar cost got labeled R&B? Thank God I didn't see it. Not much so necessarily every single song got labeled R&B, but once, like I guess after people had heard the album, they felt like it was R&B, right? How much a dollar cost is much slower. That's a slower song. So I think it's a lot of it was the pace, the cadence of the album threw a lot of people off. And a lot of people had just never heard funk music. A lot of people had never heard jazz. A lot of people never heard like Bootsy Collins and like all these other different influences. So they really just didn't understand what was happening on the album, right? Because people felt that Blacker the Berry was a right-wing talking point. Yeah, I think he's talking about what I was saying earlier. Yeah, that's definitely a right-wing talking point. Like that's, you know, we've heard it before. You guys are talking about black on black crime or police killing blacks, but black on black crime is a thing. This is what Kendrick's basically said on Blacker the Berry at the very end.
A multi-platinum sell.
Oh yeah, Javi, yeah, Drogus Light is trash. Yeah, Drogus Light, I gave that a very bad review. Yeah, so that was a mixtape, right? Or is that an album? It don't really matter to me. Yeah, you're right about that. That's one. You said 5 though. So name them other 4. Javi said Lupe got 5 bad or mediocre albums. Drogus Light, you right about that one. What about the motherfucker?
Selling rapper who was also so dedicated to righteousness that he sacrificed all that success at the highest point of his career. A rapper who has always landed on the right side of history, even when we don't appreciate it.
Right? So like Kendrick ain't gonna do something like this. I'm assuming this is the Palestinian flag. I don't think Kendrick is gonna go as far to do something like this. You know, perform with a Palestinian flag on stage. I think Kendrick will only do that if he also has the Israeli flag also. Like he's trying to show unity. Whereas Lupe is going to take a hard line stance, right?
Him in the moment of landing on that right side. Is the AI thing going to be yet another situation where he's just ahead of the curve? Or will it be a situation where he outthought the room and we all suffer?
Yeah, and how much a dollar cost? That got Ronald Isley at the end of it too, right? Tears of a clown. Yeah, so people did feel like the album was like slower, like R&B. I take that R&B critique as more so a critique on the cadence, on the pace of To Pimp a Butterfly. Nowadays, people are thinking a lot better about the album. But at the time, you couldn't tell them no different. Lupe is more punk. It is obviously, look at the colors, yeah. It could have also been like the Black Liberation flag that we use in America, so I didn't really know.
In my head, it's hard to even conceptualize that all these things, all these different personas that I've described up to this point are embodied in one person. But that's in my head. And as I said earlier, I don't know if I understand Lupe Fiasco. I don't think anyone does. But Lupe Fiasco is
Lupe is not really confusing to me. He's not really confusing to me. He just seems like a guy that's frustrated a lot and in his own head a lot. He's not really confusing to me. Lasers was trash. FNL2 wasn't trash. Drill Music in Zion wasn't trash. Samurai wasn't trash. Yeah. So I give you one. I give you Drogus Light, but Food and Liquor 2 was a good album. Drill Music in Zion was really good. And Samurai was really, really good. So you tried it.
My favorite rapper. So I wrote a 15,000 word essay to try to figure him out.
Dang. 15,000 words. Yo, FG Signify, he really sit back and write all this down? 15,000 word essay in pages. How many pages is that? 30 pages. Yo, that's all. Dang. FD Signal, he always do his videos like this? 15,000 word essay? Edit in additional voices. Okay. Okay. So he's got like an editor and he's got okay. I was gonna say, man, like you doing all this for one video? But he's got help, so that's good. Gotta have help, man.
Before I start, I just want to let it be known that this is going to be really parasocial. This is
Parasocial referring to a relationship that a person imagines having with another person who they not actually know. Yeah, a lot of people actually have parasocial relationships nowadays.
Be the most parasocial y'all have seen me since, I guess, Lauryn Hill, but it's going to be worse. And I'm saying that because if anyone should know how weird and like awkward parasocial relationships are, it should be me. As a big YouTuber now, I constantly deal with that weird feeling you get where you realize that there are people out in the world who know you on a pretty deep level, but you don't know anything about them. Not only do I feel like I know Lupe Fiasco, I kinda know Lupe Fiasco and he doesn't realize it. I don't mean this based on me being a huge fan. It's based on the fact that me and Lupe low-key had very similar upbringings
he is from
on
Chicago.
the south
Okay.
side and south suburbs of Chicago. We were both born in Chicago in the early 80s. Lupe Fiasco is actually only a few months older than me. We're both big nerds growing up in a time where being a black nerd wasn't as cool as
this is something I identify with Lupe also. Lupe was the first rapper that I ever identified with. Especially, I'm from LA. I didn't identify with like these gangbanging rappers. Like, there's only so much. Lupe was literally the first rapper that I ever was like, oh, this dude is similar to me. Kendrick was the second, right? Before then, it was just good music. I'm just listening to guys make good music. But yeah, Lupe was the first one I identified with. I wasn't huge on anime. Like, I watched some anime when I was really young. Like, when I was like 6, watching Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! I never got into Dragon Ball Z or anything like that, though. Yeah, 15,000 words is out of pocket, yeah. I thought I was the only one that thought Samurai was boring. I respect Lupe's talent, though. I didn't think Samurai was boring. I thought it was really good. How you don't ID with the LA gang bangers with that hat on? Yeah, I don't, and so I remember on one of my videos, someone was like, yo, they let you wear that hat out there? Let me? What are you talking about? Yeah, yeah. We ain't doing that.
it is now.
Let me.
But it even gets deeper because our parents ran in similar circles. In fact, my dad knows his dad. And I'm pretty confident that I probably met his dad numerous times as a child because his dad was a notable figure within the community that my parents ran in and taught karate to several of my older cousins and
Taekwondo.
my older brother.
Dude had a black belt in Taekwondo when he was like 9. That was Lupe, right? Let me go back a little bit. If I can, the video's so long, I can't even pinpoint. Here we go, boom.
Knows his dad. And I'm pretty confident that I probably met his dad numerous
I think
times.
that's one of them inside only hats. Yeah, right.
As a child, because his dad was a notable figure within the community that my parents ran in and taught karate to several of.
You just gotta know where you at. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna wear this hat, when I'm, in the Crenshaw district or something like that. Yeah, black belt. He gotta be like 9 right here, right? He was doing martial arts since an early age.
My older cousins and my older brother. And this is all stuff I didn't remember when I was reintroduced to him as a young adult, and I didn't know that I was meeting Lupe Fiasco's father. I just was meeting someone that my father told me has known me since I was a child. If you watch my Hotep video, or you watch me for a long time, you've heard me talk about being brought up in Afrocentric circles.
Let me see if I know. Let me quiz myself. Let me quiz my Afrocentricity right here. Let me see if I can name all these people in this photo.
Introduced to him as a young adult, and I didn't know that I was meeting Lupe Fiasco's father. I just was meeting someone that my father told me has known me since I was a child. If you watch.
All right, so we got Farrakhan, obviously. Shout out to Farrakhan. Have I met Farrakhan? I didn't meet him, but I've seen him speak. Kendrick, Umar Johnson, Marcus Garvey, Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael, he got a good book called Stokely Speaks. It's just a compilation of his speeches, like at UC Berkeley and all that. I don't know why they put Kendrick and Umar with these guys. I don't know why. Like, you got 3 very serious thought leaders in Farrakhan, Marcus Garvey, and Stokely Carmichael, and then you got Kendrick, who does not belong here, and then you got Umar, who, I don't know.
My Hotep video, or you watch me for a long time, that you've heard me talk about being brought up in Afrocentric circles in Chicago, and many of those Afrocentric circles eventually became Muslim circles, not Nation of Islam, which is important, but Muslim circles. These spaces and the adults in them shaped me in a lot of ways, for better and worse, and not just me, but some of Chicago's hip-hop legends, including—
Someone said, Farrakhan. What you got against Farrakhan?
Not just Lupe Fiasco.
I don't think that's Stokely. That was definitely Stokely Carmichael. You talking about this? This is definitely Stokely Carmichael. That's Stokely. Kwame Ture is what he changed his name to, right? Stokely Carmichael. Right? That's him, right? Yeah, Stokely. You're a real one, you pass the test. I'm very knowledgeable on Black liberation politics. FD grew up Muslim. My grandmother on my mom's side was in the Nation of Islam for a certain period. So I'm very familiar with this.
Which is important, but Muslim circles. These spaces and the adults in them shaped me in a lot of ways, for better and worse. And not just me, but some of Chicago's hip hop legends, including not just Lupe Fiasco, but Common and Kanye West. I know people that know all of their people. So you should know that Chicago was the
Fred Hampton. Fred, they did him dirty the way they killed Fred Hampton. They did him dirty.
home of Fred Hampton and the epicenter of the Black Panther Party for a second, and real radical Black activity in the late 60s, of which Lupe Fiasco's father, Gregory, known to me as Brother Jaco, was a huge part of. However, the CIA and the Chicago police and the FBI and so many people infiltrated this movement in Chicago, resulting in rampant misinformation, surveillance, infighting, which culminated in the assassination of Fred Hampton.
Yeah, they did him dirty, yeah. Fred Hampton was super based. Yeah, he was based. Huey Newton, based also.
1969.
W in the chat for Fred Hampton and Huey Newton. You know what I mean?
A volatile, burgeoning movement of young Black people splintered throughout the city. And as I mentioned in the Hotep video, what those different splinter groups got up to varied on a significant level. Some stayed radical, stayed leftist and principled, continued to fight against racism and capitalism for decades to come. Some became a little bit more moderate. Some became completely compromised and bought into the system and moved away from a radical.
See, it's popular to say this stuff about Obama now, but when Lupe said he's a terrorist, it wasn't popular to say that. Now it's popular to say that. You know what I mean? And even I would go to these African Black conferences that we would have, at certain schools like UC Irvine or UC Davis or whatever here in California. And there was a small minority of us who were willing to critique Obama. And this is while he was president, right? He was still president. And yeah, we all pointed to the same thing, his drone program and also his immigration. Obama deported a lot of people. So yeah, it wasn't popular. I can say this as someone who was willing to critique Obama back then. And I generally liked Obama. I voted for him. Not twice. I wasn't old enough to vote for him the first time, but I voted for him the second time. Right? I don't think my vote went through though, because it doesn't show my voter history. So I don't know what happened with my vote right there. But I cast a ballot for him. But yeah, even as someone who generally liked Obama, yeah, it wasn't popular to critique him.
Traditions, some got
he simply resumed the policies of previous presidents. Yeah, and he also made a lot of W's in the chat. Yeah, shout out Fred Hampton, Huey Newton. Yeah, Obama, he was moderate. Obama was actually moderate, which is fine. Nowadays, that's what we need. But Obama ran on a very progressive election. He ran on change. And then when he got in, he was moderate. So there's nothing wrong with being moderate, right? There's nothing wrong with being left wing. There's nothing wrong with being right wing. Really, what we need is moderate. But that's not what he ran on. So a lot of people ended up disappointed with him because we wanted change. He ran on change, promising change, and he came in and it was just moderate, right? So yeah, I remember the Obama Boondocks episode. Yeah. Electoral college and the two-party system sucks. I used to be super mad at the electoral college, and I won't go super in on politics right now because we want to, show FD's video the respect. But number one, I was a political science major. I went to the University of California. This is my background. I have a bachelor's in political science. I have a master's in business. So I am very in tune with politics. At first, I had a lot of critiques for the Electoral College, but nowadays, I'm not that mad at it. And because when you look at just the makeup of the country, if we didn't have the Electoral College, the elections will be decided by the West Coast and the East Coast. Everywhere else in between would kind of be insignificant because there are way more people living on the coastlines. So that's who's going to sway the popular vote, right? Which didn't really matter this past election because Trump won the Electoral College and the popular vote. I just understand why it exists, right? And swing states, some states become red, some become blue. Sometimes we have new states that are swing states, like Nevada, Arizona. These are now swing states. So I get the gist of why it exists. I don't think it's perfect though, but I get it. I get it more so than what I don't have as many critiques for it as I did when I was younger. You know what I mean? I don't know about moderate or right wing, and you just listen to what was wrong with it. That's what Obama and Trump stand on and what the Black Panthers stood against. Yeah, shout out We Love Hip Hop Network. Shout out Toronto in the house. So what are you saying? I don't know about moderate or right wing, and you just listen to what was wrong with it. That's what Obama and Trump stand on and what the Black Panthers stood against. I don't think Trump is moderate, though. I think Obama was moderate. I don't think Trump is moderate. I'll never watch FD Viz on politics. It's a whole waste of time. Outside of trying to figure out who feels like they aren't being heard, I can't speak on what FD thinks about politics. But if you're saying that because you don't agree with him, you got to be able to agree and disagree. You don't want to just listen to people who you always agree with, right? Like you want to at least be able to hear the other side. We should react to what I said about DJ Head. DJ Head.
A lot of these folks returned to the streets. Fred Hampton was well known. One of the most dangerous things he did was organize street gangs in Chicago. That's one of the reasons why they took him out. And some did all of the above because that was a large, varied group of people.
Is that true? Fred Hampton organized street gangs? Were they like gangs for the good, or were they like, GDs and all this?
Doing significant things. My mother and father were both in that large, varied group of people. That's how they met. And my father, as I said, knew Lupe Fiasco's father, as did my late aunt.
Are we gonna skip ahead? We're gonna skip ahead.
I can imagine that at some point in time we crossed paths, considering how close knit this community in Chicago was. So,
what'd you say about the West Coast homie DJ Head? I don't really know much. I think I reacted to I reacted to that DJ Head debate. Who did he debate? Maul from Rory and Maul. I don't really know much about him, so I don't really have an opinion on him. I'm fine with both sides speaking. It's just dumb to not see the Electoral College does what they want. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean they do what they want? The Electoral College does what they want and again, I'm not gonna get too political. The Electoral College does what they want in the respect that it's representative. So you're voting for representatives who then casts a vote on your behalf. The representative does not have to vote for who the people voted for. Everyone can cast their vote, let's say for Hillary Clinton, and then that vote is then sent to a representative of the Electoral College who then casts that vote for Hillary Clinton because y'all wanted him to vote for Hillary Clinton. Y'all can all vote for Hillary Clinton in your state, and then that representative can cast a vote for someone else. Now, it really never happens like that, but that's the way it's set up. So is that what you mean by the Electoral College does what they want? Because if that's what you meant, then yes, that you're right. And that's one critique that I have for the Electoral College. Auto protections gang, like militia, not selling drugs. Okay, y'all need to do more research on Fred Hampton. One person, one vote, abolish the Electoral College. I hear what you're saying. But I also understand why it exists. You know what I mean? Certain states like Iowa, Kentucky, Oklahoma, like if y'all lived in these states, voting in elections will be null and void. LA and New York are going to determine like 90% of elections. LA, New York, Texas.
I bring all this up not just because of this parasocial urge to show you how well I think I know Lupe, but also to point out that whether or not I know Lupe, he's going to be incredibly complex to understand regardless because of the uniqueness of his childhood. Lupe experienced a childhood full of paradoxes and contradictions. All of our parents were these former radical militants who only a few decades before we were born were literally preparing for open insurrection against the American government. But now, many were working union jobs, driving buses, or getting advanced degrees, trying to raise their children and move on with their lives. Unlike my mother, who took me and my older siblings.
Oh boy, it's rough out there. They look rough out there. That look like Baltimore. Y'all been to Baltimore before? Rough out there.
To the nicest south suburbs that she could get
I
at.
went to, this how bad Baltimore look. And shout out to Baltimore though. But I went to South Carolina, and then a couple days later, I went to Baltimore. So you would think South Carolina is like way more poor, run down than like an East Coast city, right? You know, just based on stereotypes, right? No. Baltimore is desolate, homie. Like Baltimore is in a rough shape.
Access to and kind of cocooned us away from the streets. Lupe lived with his dad for chunks of his life in various areas of Chicago's west and south side. We're
gonna skip ahead because I want to hear about the music. Let's skip to the music. Tetsuo. Again, we're not reacting to this whole thing. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Akira is one of the most important pieces of media in existence. It's one of the reasons why anime and manga exist today in the West at all. It's one of the most iconic works of sci-fi and cyberpunk to ever exist.
Shout out Cyberpunk. Yo, they need to drop some new DLC for Cyberpunk. Some new expansion, man. Black Panther seceding would have changed entertainment, let alone rap so much. Well, Black Panthers, they did. Can you skip the music? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Black Panther succeeding would have changed entertainment. Black Panther did succeed in many ways. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the reason why we have free lunch at school, free lunch, right? Black Panthers. Isn't WIC, you know, a byproduct of Black Panthers and what they were doing? There's a lot of things that the Black Panthers did that were instituted into our social programs. So I think they were successful in many ways. They did influence music at the time, the Black Panthers. You talk about the Last Poets, the Watts Prophets, they're all of that ilk, right? Even Public Enemy, right? Rap group. Gangster rap got popular, came out. Even the early gangster rap was still more social, like NWA, you know, Ice Cube and all that. But somewhere along this journey, our rappers decided, I don't know. I hate it. Y'all know what I'm gonna say because I say it in a lot of videos. Socialists gave us the weekend. Yeah, I think the best form of government is democratic socialism. Democratic socialism. That's what Bernie Sanders be on. But if you're gonna tax me, I need to know where my taxes is going. Because here in California, we get taxed a lot, a whole lot. And it's looking terrible out here. San Francisco's looking terrible. LA is looking terrible. Where are the tax money going?
Is influential in ways that I really can't get into right now.
The Dead
Kanye
Prez,
West has
yeah.
left traces of this story all over his art for years. You've seen a million references to his.
You can skip at least 5-10 minutes. You're gonna start. Okay, he's just gonna do that little anime thing. Okay, we'll skip ahead. Let's go to 26.
Had a function allowing you to either record songs from tape to tape or record straight off the radio.
Yeah.
And it sucked. The quality was trash and tapes would wear out after like a couple of months, depending on how much you listen to it.
Yeah,
so
that's facts.
Never was like that really competing with people going to the store to buy tapes and CDs directly from the label, you know, providers or whatever.
Yeah, shout out Bernie.
By the late 90s, CD burners were starting to become commercially owned by regular ass people. And you can get much, much better bootlegs. And then at the same time, file sharing started becoming a thing.
Yeah, I was burning CDs up until like 2011. You know what I mean?
This meant that
creating little mixtapes for the shorties, you know what I mean, at school, you know what I mean?
The industry that used to be able to control everything about who got what music and when and what artists got the full backing and what didn't. And if you know anything about Industry Rule 2080, you know that was not good for a lot of rappers.
Tribe Called Quest.
But the hustle don't stop. And now with the democratization of who's popular and who can get what music.
All right, yo, FD, yo, we mess with you, but we want to get back to Lupe. We want to get back to Lupe the Fiasco. Here we go.
his interviews, he struggles to not show a level of disregard, maybe even resentment to all the toxicity that drives hip hop and how it is inevitably harmful to black people.
Like, if you had the choice to have or not have the cultural and social and economic conditions that created hip hop or hip hop, which would you rather have?
Oh, yeah. I would choose for those. Yo, music was fine without hip hop. Before hip hop, we still had some great music. You talking about the 70s? The not just the disco, the soul movement, the Marvin Gaye. Yo, we was doing fine without hip hop. If you making me choose hip hop, because what Lupe is saying is like, yo, hip hop was born out of these desolate conditions. So would you rather have no desolate conditions in the black community and not have hip hop, or would you rather have hip hop with those desolate conditions? I'm choosing, definitely not having desolate conditions. We would have been fine without hip hop. We still had James Brown. We still had, Louis Armstrong, many great musicians, bro. Marvin Gaye, Al Green, Gap Band. I really like the Gap Band. Yeah, definitely. R&B, house, techno, yeah, blues. Yeah, EDM, or we call it house music, which comes from Chicago. Yeah. Lupe been hating a lot. Yeah, he has. Ice Cube talked about record executives telling them to rap about certain things. Same execs have private prison investments. Yeah, that's called getting a play ran on you by the CIA. Yo, hip hop, the CIA ran a mega play on hip hop. The CIA is still running a play on hip hop. I don't even know if it's the CIA nowadays. Nowadays, the rappers just do it themselves. Y'all know I'm very critical about certain content in rap music. I'll even critique rappers that I like. Y'all know my whole critique around the GNX album, which is an album that I like, right? My whole critique about that is the messaging that's on this album from the features. So even if I like, it's just something I just feel a burning desire to speak out against. The CIA don't even need to run plays no more. Let me get off the CIA head. The CIA don't even need to run plays. I don't even got to be active in this no more. It's now a self-fulfilling prophecy in hip hop. And Kendrick said the audience not dumb. A lot of them are. Yeah, some of them are. I'm not gonna lie to you. James Brown shot up a nightclub. Oh, what? Yo, that's crazy. They did it with Sexy Red. The consumers need to revolt against demoralizing hip hop. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. I agree though, but it's never gonna happen. The consumers, the audience, I said this the other day. Or did I say this on Potty Mouth? If you're an intellectual black person, right, in America, there's going to be a moment where you have to decide between one of two directions. Either you're going to continue to do this, to dedicate so much time and so much of your life to the liberation of black people, right? Which is a constant fight against idiocy and degeneracy. So you're dedicating your life constantly fighting against degeneracy. Not just the degeneracy from the third parties. Your own people, a large portion, love the degeneracy. So you're fighting a war on two fronts. Or you can just be like, yo, I'm gonna focus on myself. Every black intellectual who was involved in a black liberation movement, and this includes me also. I was heavy into black liberation politics and movements. Like, we was doing a lot of stuff in college that I'm not even gonna get into. But all of us, you come to that point. Like, am I gonna continue to go this direction, or am I just gonna go this direction? And I think, it's a fight against degeneracy. You're not only fighting the external, the government and the white man, as they would say. A lot of it is you're fighting against your own people who are so in love with the degeneracy. You're trying to give them fruit and vegetables. They want to eat popsicles, and they stuck on it. So most of your work is taking a popsicle out their mouth and hand them. Come on, man. You don't even get to so much to growing the fruits and vegetables and starting the farm. You don't even get to that point because so much of your time is taking the lollipops out people's mouth. If y'all get the analogy, you spend a disproportionate amount of time trying to deprogram the lock of that degeneracy has on your people, and it's exhausting. And you never feel like you make progress because we love degeneracy. I can go on and on about this, but I can go on and on about this. They turn hip hop gay? Yo, what?
I'd rather have not the Bronx look like in the 70s, look like Beirut, like it just got bombed, and out of that you got to find some way to entertain yourself and do that. Like,
I mean, we got a rapper named Lil Baby who was convinced a bunch of his fans who are men to call him Lil Baby. That's something you call a girl. Hey, what's up, Lil Baby? Da-da-da. This man named himself Lil Baby. Yeah, they sneaking little things in here and there. If you a rapper and you a street rapper, right? So you know most of your fans gonna be men. Why would you then name yourself Lil Baby? Like not Big Dog, Big Homie, OG, no. Lil Baby? That's like naming yourself Cutie Pie or something like that. Like, so you want a bunch of men calling you cutie? This is crazy, man. And they sneaking it in here and there. I'm not lying, bro. It's hard to choose righteous and get your life destroyed for nothing. There is a reason all the boomers were rebellious and now manage the system. Yeah, and I think that's a good point too, for sure. Because even if you choose that, you know, let's say you're a black intellectual, you like, nah, I'm gonna continue to fight against degeneracy, da-da-da. Well, now eventually if you do good enough, you're gonna become a target. And it's a thankless job, really. It's a thankless job. You know, I encourage everybody to go back and really read newspapers and, you know, text about guys like Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King, and I choose Martin Luther King because he's probably one of the most beloved figures in Black American history. But people were mixed on MLK. For as much as he did for us, for as much as he got beat down, you know, by the police, he got shot in the face on a balcony and killed. All this sacrifice he made, when he was actually here, it was very mixed. It wasn't like how it is today where he's like a, you know, everyone loves him. It was mixed. So he didn't really get to feel the love like that. And that's how it's going to be for you too. So again, every black intellectual, I think, comes to a point where they recognize this. They recognize the fight they're up against. It's a fight on two fronts. You fighting against your people who suck on degeneracy, and you fighting for the people who are putting degeneracy in your spots, in your communities. And then the end game is so dark and bleak, and it still seems so far away. Right? I think y'all get what I'm saying.
I'd rather it look nice, and then we didn't have hip hop, because I would rather just live in a nice house and not have to worry.
You can't have hip hop without, Shout out to the LGBTQ community. You know, we ain't homophobic over here. Shout out to the gays and all that. You know what I mean?
So not worry about this and worry about that. People kind of forget the social conditions that created this thing here. And if you had the choice to say, man, nah, I would rather not have that and not have this thing called hip hop come out of that. I'd rather just have the beautiful life, be able, my life expectancy be higher than 20,
right?
You know, and me being the schools in my neighborhood world class and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want this to be a fallback, you know. And for a lot of people, it is. It's like it's a fallback, but it's a representation of the badness and the ills of our society and the ills of our community. That's what hip hop came from.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So
it becomes like, man, what would you rather have? A nice life with no hip hop, or some fucked up shit with niggas?
Nice life, it's not even a question, bro. Nice life with no hip hop. What you mean?
Just rapping on the corner.
And I also have to imagine that he recognizes that this particular disposition that he has, how this lust for dysfunction in the hip hop music genre.
Yeah, lust for dysfunction. That's another way to say what I was saying. Off topic, but on topic, they cloned Tyrone? What is that? That's a generalization. We don't know for sure. That's just our stereotype. Sure, that's fair. Basically, MLK in the Boondocks episodes. Y'all love y'all some Boondocks, huh?
Pushes him and artists like him who are more positive to the margins of black media and entertainment because they don't play that game. And that's something I can kind of relate to as well. I know for a fact if I was doing like pure manosphere adjacent content and talking bad about black women and stuff like that, then I'd probably be much, much bigger. And I also get accused.
What? Bro, you got like 2 million subs. This dude got 1 million subs. You got more than a fresh and fit dude. Like, what you mean? Like, what you mean, bro? You got 1 million subs.
Of pandering to
what
a
is he
black
talking
audience
about?
or not having a strong black audience, which isn't true, but that's kind of the nature of the beast in these situations. But what if, like Tetsuo, Lupe were to get so big, successful, and powerful that he'd be undeniable? Maybe that it would make it impossible for people not to get in line with his program. In a Tetsuo-like manner.
I don't get the whole anime reference. Let's go, the collapse. Let's get it.
Can make big records. If it's
With Tetsuo, what anime is that? Is that Full Metal Jacket?
big records, because superstars, all of us, right? Well, we know how to make big pop records. I learned how to do that at Arista.
He's big on doing the big pop records, and
Only the big pop records that they have at least 3 or 4 entryways of finance into.
Okay.
Leo was like, yo, if you don't sign this 360 deal, we're not promoting your records. Not only are we not
if you don't sign this 360, we're not promoting your records.
promoting your records, we're not promoting even the records that we give you.
Right.
This gave him a little more autonomy and power up front in a time where the music industry was struggling to balance their books.
FD has viewers who blindly praise him. FD was talking for a minute like he ain't probably the biggest hip hop YouTuber out here. Like, yo, if I did this, I would be way bigger. Bro, you have 1 million subs. Like, you're as big as it gets. Pause.
And so they wanted Lupe to sign what's called a 360 deal. To be brief, record deals usually is just like, okay, we give you an advance, we own most of the publishing, we own a lot of the distribution, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, 360 deal is going to take everything. It's not just going to take, a percentage of your record sales. It's going to take a percentage of your merch, a percentage of your shows. Like, even deals that you get outside of your music career, oftentimes 360 deals will take percentages of that. That's why 360, they're taking everything, 360 degrees around.
So for every record you sell, if it's $15.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Sway Boogie, exactly. This is what I was saying earlier, compared to Kendrick's free family-oriented label. Right, so yeah. You compare that to Kendrick, where it's more family, even though Kendrick may have had a messed up deal, it's more, he's not having Leor Cohen come to him and tell him these type of things. Like, even if Top Dog is telling him, yo, you're in a 360, it's coming out differently, right? So it's much less corporate where Kendrick is at. Even let's say if Kendrick is going through the same things, it's less corporate, right?
Get 50 cents off of it, but you get
because I actually don't think it was all hunky dory with Kendrick over at TDE. I don't think everything was just all good there, but I think because it's more family oriented and they know each other personally, and it's not just a business relationship, I think a lot of it got kept in house, right?
These other things with your music on your own, and that's fine. Where 360 deal was basically like, look, not only do we own a lot of your publishing and your distribution and all that stuff, but if you go do a show, if you get an endorsement, if you make an appearance,
we taking that
we
too.
get a piece of that too. Yeah. And it was a way to basically squeeze the artist for every piece of value that they were bringing in, and no artist who had sense, who had the power to say no, was going to accept that. So,
right, but they told Lupe, according to Lupe, yo, if you don't sign this, we're not promoting your music. Ooh. And this was at a time where radio was massive. Radio was still very important. So, like, we're not even putting your songs on the radio. Basically, your career is over if you don't sign this 360 deal.
Atlantic constantly fought with Lupe about this. And when Lupe wouldn't capitulate, they basically started trying to shelve him. And that made it tough because by 2009, Lupe had announced, like, to the public that he was done with his third album. And he even released...
Mind you, like I said earlier in the beginning of the stream, this happening during 2009, Lupe kind of gets stunted by his label. 2009 is now where Kendrick starts to bubble. So as Lupe is going through these things that's kind of affecting his music, you have a very similar artist coming up who is not affected by these things. Hence why so many Lupe fans, like myself, became Kendrick fans, right? Hence why Lupe is a little aggy when it comes to Kendrick. He's a little aggro when it comes to Kendrick. The story behind the kick push sample is diabolical. I'd never heard that story behind the kick push sample. But yeah, that kick push beat is amazing. Yeah, we're not saying that. Back then, you needed to at least one single for your album to be released, or it would get shelved. Yeah, even J. Cole. Like, yeah, back then you needed a single. J. Cole, before his first album took so long because he could not land a hit. He put out these different songs like Before I'm Gone, Problems, Who Dat. It wasn't until he dropped the Workout song that his album got really started being promoted. You needed a radio single back then, man.
Although it was low-key leaked, the first single, the Neptunes produced I'm Beaming early in 2010. And the hype was officially at a fever pitch, thinking that we were about to get another coup from Lupe Fiasco. And I'm Beaming is probably like the most successful song that Lupe's had in terms of really travailing all three of those major spaces. It still was loved by the hip-hop heads. It still was commercially viable.
Kick Push was up there. Paris, Tokyo. Like, Lupe's had better, received songs than this in terms of, hitting commercial and underground. Like, pretty much everything on his first two albums, all those singles.
And it was the closest he got to as a jam because he had a Neptunes beat and it was just smooth and like you could skate to it, you could, dance to it.
I like the remix with Charles Hamilton. The throat slid into you left side broke niggas, blowing constrictor, choking niggas, the grown man. Pause mean your controller get broken. Yo, Charles Hamilton went crazy on that beat. Anarchy in the Forge, you need to focus, nigga. Charles Hamilton was crazy back then. The label pulled Kick Push from radio. They could fly to Asia. Oh yeah, I did hear about that. The label pulled Kick Push from radio. So they could fly to Asia, purchase the original sample, then only then they gave it a push. So the label saw that Kick Push was about to be a hit. They're like, yo, we gonna fly to Asia, purchase the sample. Then we gonna push it once we own the rights to the sample. Dirty. I actually did hear that story. Yeah, you right. Yeah, thanks for that, Kamal. That's good context. 2010 was when everybody got a nifty 50 and a Rebel TI and started making music videos. Yeah. They got their cannons. I mean, that was a good time in hip hop though. And that's when social media really started popping off to where you didn't need the radio, right? But there was still a large portion who needed the radio. But 2010 was kind of the beginning to where you could drop a music online. It never touched the radio. And it could be a viral hit. You can make money on that, right? But Lupe, this is 2009. So Lupe he's in a major deal, so he needs that radio. Call in the chat, they're going on the G's and DJ.
We still wouldn't have it at the strip club, but it was close. There was a video release for it and even a remix featuring a clique formed by Lupe, the All City Chess Club, which is basically like all the hot super lyrical rappers of the blog era, such as the Cool Kids, Charles Hamilton, Asher Roth, and a bunch of other people. So hype was real, but Atlantic was not capitulating. And it was clear this was due to them wanting him to sign this deal. He tried to keep himself busy. He released another mixtape, which was amazing. He recorded a large chunk of his whole...
So in between that, he released, what was that mixtape? Friend of the People. Or that came after Lasers, right? Friend of the People.
Fourth album.
He released Enemy of the State. That's one of my favorite mixtapes of all time.
Food and Liquor 2 in advance. He even formed a punk rock band and recorded an album with them, initially under like a fake pseudonym, but eventually Japanese Cartoon, the band, became a thing. They still haven't released official music. I've heard this album. I've had this album saved in a bunch of numerous places, and it still can be found on SoundCloud today.
Oh, he got the I'm Beaming beat playing. Yeah, that's a good beat. Yeah.
But you cannot find any Japanese Cartoon music on Spotify. I don't know what's up with that. It's been like 20 years. A lot of that shit is good, but that's a whole other conversation. None of it mattered though. Atlantic was not budging. They were playing a dirty game.
Until we protested.
There was not a lot that he could do to win it. And this is something that happened in all music for a long time.
Yeah.
There's always been dirty games happening in the industry.
Yeah, it's not just exclusive to Lupe. This happens to many people, right?
But that was before the age of the internet, before a rapper like Lupe could build up a strong fan base to support him.
Right.
And because he had that strong fan base, he used that to get Atlantic to do what he needed. There was a petition that had 30,000 signatures that was given to Atlantic saying that they need to release the album.
And I think that's dope the way Lupe did it because it's very on brand. So Lupe is more so this political, socially, socio-political rapper. And the way that he got his label or pushed his label to release his album to, get some music out, petitioned the same way you will petition, a government who's doing bad things, and then a protest. I don't think we've seen this since then.
And then he even did a protest.
It's happened to Michael Jackson,
offices, which he attended himself, saying, "Free Lupe Fiasco, give us the album." And the pressure seemed to work as a new lead single was released in late October. The show goes on.
Yeah.
And this is not only a positive, uplifting anthem, but it was also low-key a diss to Atlantic Records themselves. Using
and they have that Mighty Mouse sample on it. This is one of Lupe's biggest songs too. The show goes on.
The melody of Modest Mouse Float On, a huge indie rock hit from the early 2000s. The song felt like a victory lap. Lupe had dealt with this fight with Atlantic Records over the past 2 years, but he had won, and we were finally getting ready to hear what we had worked so hard on.
And then the album comes out, and it's like, huh? What?
He had fought so hard to get. It felt like a reward for all the hard work that Lupe put in. It felt like a reward for the fans for supporting him, for staying true to his project, and all of.
We're gonna watch up to the hour mark. We're gonna watch 9 more minutes. Again, we're not gonna watch the whole thing, but this is where it got good though. I'm glad we watched up until this part. We're gonna watch until it's at 60 minutes. So up until right here-ish.
That culminated into Lupe's third album, Lasers.
Yeah.
And Lasers was kinda shitty. Arguably Lupe's worst album and definitely his most disappointing considering the hype built up around it and the effort to put into it. And his career was never the same.
I didn't think it was that bad. But yeah, it's definitely his worst album to that point. But and it was a lot of people disappointed, right? But it wasn't bad music. It just wasn't what we wanted from Lupe.
The problem with Lasers is basically that both Lupe Fiasco and Atlantic Record took the wrong lessons from the Cool. Although you could read into a lot of different things from Lupe. He was going through a lot. Maybe this was not the album we were meant to do. It was just the album he decided to turn in because he wanted to get it done with.
Well, if I remember correctly, Lupe was saying that Atlantic, the label, made him put some of these songs on there, made him collaborate with Trey Songz. Like, the label basically had creative control over the album. That's what I remember Lupe saying. But then Lupe Fiasco, after this album, Lasers, he drops a mixtape called Friend of the People, which kind of has some of the same issues, like these EDM electronic beats. And that was a mixtape. So I remember being like, yo, was it really the label that picked these type beats? Because you picked these same type of beats on your mixtape.
But there's no mixture of high concept, lyrical depth. There's no major themes. There was no sense of intention in a lot of it. It felt very cynical and like we did this on the last album.
There were good songs on Lasers. Let me see if I can pull up my Lasers review. I think it's on Top 5 rap website. He's got a song called All Black Everything that's really good on that album. Lasers, yeah. My Lasers review is up here. Yeah, here's my review. May 9th, 2011. 3 stars out of 5. So 3 stars for me means good. Fans of the artist will find value. So basically, if you're not a Lupe fan already, this isn't really going to turn you. And it's good. And if you're a current fan, it's serviceable. I said it's not as bad as everyone says, but not great either. Fans of Lupe can find value here. And the highest rated song, what did I give it to? I gave it to All Black Everything and State Run Radio. Till I Get There, Words I Never Said. Worst song was Beautiful Lasers. That's what I said back then. Okay. So I wasn't as hard on the album as a lot of people was. And trust me, I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed. Shout out to the Clips for doing 113K first week. Yeah, that's great numbers for the Clips. That's like what the Clips would have done in 2002 when they were at their peak, with grinding. Like that's numbers they would have did back then. So to do that nowadays, after such a long break, that's major for the Clips.
Album, so we got to do this.
Again, we're only going to do like another 8 more minutes.
On the next album. It was like they misunderstood the things that made the first 2 albums
so good, right?
Their attempts at pop hits like Out of My Head and Break the Chain and I Don't Care Right Now just sound corny and like trite. Almost every song has these vapid.
Wait, what did he say? Hold on.
On the next album. It was like they misunderstood the things that made the first two albums work. Clear attempts at pop hits like Out of My Head and Break the Chain and I Don't Care Right Now just sound corny.
Okay, yeah, I feel that.
Trite. Almost every song has these vapid, floaty, alt pop beats that sound more like...
Yeah, the beats were a big issue. But then Lupe went on his mixtape. Lupe was like, well, the label made me do this with it, in terms of the beats and the features. But then on his mixtape, he had very similar electronic beats. And that's like one of the few times where I was looking at Lupe like so Lasers was your album because you picked the same type of beats. But then by this time, we already had Kendrick. Kendrick was out. So I'm like, man, I'm to listen to Section 80, nigga. You driving in, I listen to Section 80. I don't have to stand for this anymore.
Backing music to an anime FMV than hip hop music. Most of the background singers, except Trey Songz, are white indie pop stars instead of, some sisters that can sing and on melodies that black people actually appreciate.
I don't really care about the race of the person singing the songs. Like, I don't care if it's a sister and all this. Like, that's not even a good critique to me. Because I would have been happy if Matthew Santos was on these songs. My thing was where's Matthew Santos, who was on the first two Lupe albums? Where is who's the producer? Who's Lupe producer that was on them albums? Not Needles, but come on. See, I'm drawing a blank. Let me go. Lupe Discog. I'm drawing a blank. Who's that producer? The beats always put me off for Lupe. I don't know why he liked the electronic stuff so much. Yeah, I'm not mad at him for liking electronic stuff. But the thing is, don't be like, yo, Laser sounds like this because of the label. But then when you got a chance to do mixtape where you have full creative control, you still picking them type of beats. It's like, all right. Like, what else is you lying about, basically? Soundtrack. Yeah, my thing was, where is Soundtrack? Where is Matthew Santos? Right? I don't care if Lupe has, sisters and all this and black folks. To me, that's irrelevant. One of my favorite songs on the album is State Run Radio, which is kind of punk rocky. Matt Mahaffey. Let's see if he's a part of a band, because he definitely reminds me of like some early 2000s punk rock. Kagan Space, Self. Yeah, so like the race of the person singing a song is completely irrelevant to me because I would have liked Matthew Santos on these songs. But I understand the larger point that he's making. Yeah, Soundtrack, yeah. And Soundtrack and Lupe, they work together nowadays. That's the combo we want. That's like YG and DJ Mustard. You know what I mean? That's like the Clips and Pharrell, right? Lupe and Soundtrack. Come on.
And the allegedly more conscious, hard-hitting tracks like State One Radio or All Black Everything just feel kind of shallow, if not a little cringe. Like All Black Everything presents this imaginary world where slavery didn't happen, and Fred Astaire is a breakdancer, and W.E.B. Du Bois wrote the Constitution, and a black woman created the KKK, which I'm sorry, what?
We gotta look at them lyrics. All Black Everything, I did enjoy that song. Let's see. All Black Everything lyrics. Because it's the same Lupe Fiasco who made that album about Amy Winehouse being a battle rapper, right? So you can't just take it at face value. Let's see. We ain't work for free, so they had to employ it. Built it up over 400 years. See, we actually enjoyed it. Constitution written by W.E.B. Du Bois. Yeah, so he's basically imagining a world where, racism didn't exist. I thought it was a cool song.
Lupe, what were you thinking with it? That one, I can give a lot passes to a
because
lot of
he
things.
he isn't looking at the KKK in this song as a as what it turned out to be. He's looking at, the KKK turned out to be something totally different, right? Which is still an odd thought to have, but the way it's deployed within the context of the song, I thought it was good. I don't think many people are going to listen to that song and think Lupe is championing the KKK or anything like that.
I remember thinking back then. I don't know if I ever felt more disappointed with an album in my life, to be honest. There was so much hype.
Yeah, I was pretty damn disappointed by this album, but I try to be fair in my reviews, even back then in 2011. Even though I was massively disappointed, and Lupe was my favorite rapper, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, which is not great. It's just good, barely good. But I could have gave it way lower. People were really all over this album in a bad way.
So much anticipation, so much work being done to get behind Lupe, to get the album
Out, yeah.
and for it to be
Trash.
not
trash, yeah.
That had to be devastating. It was definitely devastating to me as a fan, and I can't imagine how that must have felt to Lupe. Remember, he was already going through a lot of personal stuff at the moment and being stifled as an artist. Before the album,
Lupe still had some hits on this album. I wonder what Lasers did commercially. I don't think I've ever looked that up. Because Out of My Head featuring Trey Songz, that was a hit record. 57 first week sales. Dang. First week sales, over 200,000 copies sold. 200,000 plus first week. And it was number one. It was a number one record. I never knew this because I just don't care about numbers. So I've never looked this up until right now. Number one on the Billboard 200 and 200K plus first week sales. Out of My Head, The Show Goes On. That was a big album.
Drop, he talked about going through depression and even contemplating suicide at the time. In the years after this album was released, he talked about quitting rap a lot, even saying that he had one more album to do and then he was done with it.
Yeah, I remember that.
It seemed like this experience took a lot out of him, but sadly, it was really just the beginning of a bad period in his career. Ironically, even though his core fans hated it and critics hated it, the album was still very successful.
Yeah, very successful.
Very much loved by those pop audiences. Show Goes On was a huge hit. So while Lupe's star power somewhat diminished, it still wasn't gone. He was still hyper visible. He was still remaining an elite level of
Yeah, I wouldn't say his star power diminished. His star power got bigger with this album.
access and like status within the rapper hierarchy in terms of mainstream appearances and attention. And this partly is why he was invited to perform at an event celebrating the re-election of Barack Obama, which was weird because Lupe had been calling Barack Obama a terrorist for like most of the previous year. And on Laser's second song, Words I Never Said, Lupe gets really political for the first time in a while.
Oh yeah, Lupe went in on this song.
And he hits all the usual suspects of hyper-capitalism, government corruption, materialism, false media, Limbaugh's a racist, Glenn is a racist, Gaza Strip was getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit. Then Lupe Fiasco, one of the biggest rappers in the world, low-key say Free Palestine way back in 2011. Yes, he did.
Way back, I mean, Israel-Palestine been going on for decades and decades. Israel-Palestine was, it was a huge thing. Even in 2011, it was huge. I remember being in college and Israel-Palestine was still the big thing. Crimea, Russia and Crimea and Ukraine, all that was all happening still. You know.
And it basically cost him his career. I have a lot of shade that I'm going to throw at Lupe coming up soon, and shade that I've already done, right? It's also love too. Like there's a lot of love here, just hopefully people appreciate the balance.
Sure, yeah.
But I have
to
really show love.
Dubs in the chat, shout out to Sing. Yeah, Dubs in the chat. Rappers are like wrestlers when it comes to retirement, they always come back. Yeah, because you just have such a love for it, right? So they may retire because they don't like the business aspect, but yeah, they be coming back. Facts.
To point out the courage it took to stand with the people of Palestine on any level, let alone as demonstrably as he did against the black president, the first black president, the beloved first black president, way back on a rap song in 2011. Not 2023, 24, 25, where as a nation, people have finally moved in favor of a free Palestine. Not in
I feel like people have been saying free Palestine. I feel like nowadays it's I don't know. It's always been the popular thing to say free Palestine, right? I don't know. Even in 2011, it's not like it was like this underground, covert, like Israel Palestine was massive in 2011. It was like, it's always been this constant thing ever since I've been alive. So
in a post-Bread Tube, post-Bernie Sanders era where radical leftist politics can give you, social media careers.
Okay, true. Yeah. Within that context, yeah.
Lupe brought this to the people at a time where the people were definitely not ready for it. I had kind of known what was happening.
Maybe when they didn't understand it as much
In Palestine at the time, But this song and the preceding events around it made me more aware of that ongoing conflict than
even if you watch the news a little bit. Like I was like 13 at this time, and I knew about Israel-Palestine. Even if you just watched, it's not like, Israel-Palestine is such a big thing nowadays in 2025. No, it was big in 2010 also. Like it's constantly, I feel like it's been going on since like the 70s, right? And it's always been this constant, massive news event. Right?
Anything up to that point. He was very far ahead of the curve. And unlike other rappers and musicians that get credit for being radical or dangerous to the system,
Kendrick
Lupe truly put his career reputation
facts.
on the line, being not just critical of, again, the first black president as a black man from the city that black man is from,
right.
but also of Israel as a black Muslim in 2011. All that said, initially that didn't seem to make a difference in Lupe's star power. People were ignoring it. Maybe they weren't really paying full attention to what he was saying, which is crazy because he actually went on Bill O'Reilly to talk about this, as well as the Young Turks. But when
and you know Bill O'Reilly wants to have him on. Oh, so you called Obama a terrorist. Let's talk about that. Bill O'Reilly was a mess back then.
He went to Obama's inauguration party. That's when people started to say, oh, we might need to do something about this nigga. The full details are sketchy in terms of what specifically happened, but the story goes, Lupe Fiasco played the song Words I Never Said over and over again for 30, 40 straight minutes, constantly repeating the lines, Limbaugh's a racist, Glenbeck is a racist, Gaza Strip is getting bombed, Obama didn't say shit, that's why I ain't vote for him, next one either, I'm a part of the problem, my problem is I'm peaceful.
People. Yeah.
And he did that on stage with the band jamming behind him over and over again until they cut off his mic, and eventually men in black suits ushered him off the stage, ending the protest as a whole.
Sure, okay. I see the vision, but I'm sure a lot of people would just look at Lupe like, why even go to begin with? But then Lupe, his response would probably be like, I'm going directly to the source to tell these people what I think. So I can understand both sides.
Major headlines, and as far as I can
tell, we got 3 more minutes. We're going to watch 3 more minutes. So we're going to watch until 60 minutes.
It marked the end of Lupe's time being backed and supported by mainstream music industry as a whole. He had woke too close to the sun, and he was about to come tumbling down. The consequence of this is that now Lupe pretty much had nothing going for him. He had the commercial backing and the popularity within mainstream music and media culture. They weren't going to rock with him criticizing Israel or supporting Palestine. The streets and black culture, who were already lukewarm on Lupe to begin with.
You critiqued Obama.
Looked at this as some goofy shit to be mad and complaining about the first black president because we didn't quite know what we were getting in Obama at the time. People should have known. I should have known better. But I can tell you right now that in 2011, I wasn't trying to hear nothing bad about Barack Obama.
Yeah, a lot of black people wasn't. I was in school during these times. You mentioned a drone program. People, it's just how people are. You got to give them that. You can't convince people. Never in the history of arguments and debates has someone sat there and said, you know what, that's a great point you just made. I'll have to rethink my position. That's never happened. People have to come to that realization on their own.
Obama. And then he had lost a chunk of his fan base who looked at this album and said, this was kind of mid. Why did you?
And then guess who's coming up at this same time? Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick don't have all these separate issues.
Make us work so hard for this. You don't realize just how much this hurt Lupe until he gets to his album after this, because the album after this is a pretty good album.
What album was after?
People had just soured on the idea of liking Lupe Fiasco, because it was like,
who the fuck does this nigga think he is?
Which is hilarious, because he was right. Everything he did in this moment, if he do it now, he'd be one of the most darling, beloved rappers in internet culture.
It aged very well. His standing with Gaza, his critiques on Obama, it aged well.
Media. But I do have to emphasize the biggest...
Same Barack that killed more than... Barack, his drone program. If y'all don't know about Barack's drone program, what he done to Yemen and Pakistan. Again, if I was a kid and I was able to see this and read this, y'all certainly can do it too. When all this is going on, I'm probably 14, 15 years old. Yeah. So
this blow here was the way that Lupe was being received and perceived within black rap, hip hop culture, etc. Nobody was able to survive.
I was only pissed at Lupe dropping that friend of the people joint. Because although he did have some good songs in there, like Double Burger with Cheese, it felt kind of like some of the beats was left over from Lasers. And I'm like, yo, if you hated that album so much and the label made you do that album so much, why are you continuing to use these beats? That's the one time where I was looking at Lupe kind of like, that was my only issue with him, right? That nigga was droning everybody, facts.
If not being on board with Obama, especially someone that low-key felt like
Obama, like, they was bombing weddings, hospitals. Was it a school or a hospital that I'm thinking of? It might have been both. I'm pretty sure it was a hospital, or maybe it was a kid's hospital or something like that. They was bombing any and everything, man. Constantly. It was nonstop. He started with a very peaceful discourse in Cairo, then Nobel Peace Prize, then Bloodbath, yeah. Watched the Bakhtu wedding party airstrike, yeah, man. Yeah. So, again, I was a kid when this was happening. I watched a little bit of news. Like, I watched some CNN, MSNBC. But yeah, I'm constantly going against just ignorant niggas to where I'm going to these African black, we call it ABC conferences. And I'm making my critiques, in my small group about, the Obama presidency. I'm giving the pros and the cons. I like some things he did, but I don't like these things. And yet, niggas just was not trying to hear that. Oh, you talking about Obama, that's the first black president, man. They not like us. These niggas was basically, they not like us back then, if you critiqued Obama. Like, they not like us, basically. Like, yeah, I'm nothing like y'all. Facts.
Outsider already, and Lupe did feel like an outsider.
It was both. Oh, yeah, it was both.
Even if that wasn't the case, it was the perception, and it was a perception that Lupe wasn't really doing a lot to fix. Like, yeah, Lupe's music was conscious and woke and was real in terms of the way it talked about black struggle, but conscious, woke, real music, whatever, didn't really sound a lot like what Lupe's music did. I felt this a lot, specifically being in the South, where hip hop was very capable of being both conscious, but also still deeply connected to black traditions. Think Big Crit, think David Banner. Those were rappers that were able to talk about the same things Lupe talked about, but it felt more of the people. And Lupe,
I don't agree with that. Like, Big Crit wasn't talking about Gaza Strip and Palestine and like American terrorists and the poor Ku Klux Klan seen it, we all brothers, not because but because we got the same colors. Like, no.
Lupe's music felt like it was being made by a guy that made a punk rock band on his spare time. And that comes to a...
Let me pull up these American, because I've referenced this song many times during this live stream, American Terrorist lyrics. The poor Ku Klux Klan see that we are brothers. How I go? Not because we got the same colors. Yeah, the poor Ku Klux Klan see that we are brothers, not because things the same, because we got the same colors. Now, if a Muslim woman strapped with a bomb on a bus with the seconds run and give you the chitters, just imagine an American-based Christian organization planning to poison water supplies to bring the second coming quicker. Woo! Yo, this in 06. Big Crit's not saying stuff like this. David Banner, I don't know, maybe he is. Yo, if a Muslim woman strapped with a bomb on a bus with the seconds running gives you the jitters, then imagine an American-based Christian organization planning to poison water supplies to bring the second coming quicker. They ain't living properly, break them off for a little democracy. He's critiquing basically American exceptionalism. Turn a whole culture to a mockery. Give them Coca-Cola for their property. Some of these cops must be Al-Qaeda. This is 2006. Don't get a black man food, give red man liquor. Red man food, black man nigga. Yeah, this is insane. Shorty ain't learned to walk, still already heavily armed. Civilian and little children is especially harmed. Camouflage Torahs, Bibles, and glorious Qurans. The books that take you to heaven and let you meet the Lord there have become misinterpreted reasons for warfare. Yo, Lupe is...
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
Camouflage Torahs, Bibles and glorious Qurans, the books that take you to heaven and let you meet the Lord there, have become misinterpreted reasons for warfare. Big Crit don't rap like this. Big Crit don't. David Banner, I don't know. We came through the storm, nooses on our necks, and a smallpox blanket to keep us warm. So, yeah. This is his first album. He been like that. So now when Lupe comes out and he starts talking about Obama, eventually when Obama becomes president and how he's a terrorist, I'm not surprised. Have y'all heard Lupe's music before? Like, he been saying this stuff. And Matthew Santos is on the hook to this song. Where's Hurt Me So? Here we go. He got a bar about the CCF. Through the Grim Reaper. See, it's tongue twister. I could barely say this. Through the Grim Reaper, sickle sharpening, Macintosh, marketing, oil field, auguring, Brazilian adolescent disarmament, Israeli occupation, Islamic martyrdom. Laser-guided targeting oil for food, bartering, terrorist organization harboring, CCF sponsoring, world conquering. Yo. Catholic priest fondling, preemptive bombing, and Osama and Obama and them. Lupe is the greatest, bro. This 06. Lupe is the greatest, bro. Yeah, Lupe was going off. Facts. Tupac would have championed this. Yeah, but Tupac, it's not many rappers rapping like this, going this far. Kendrick, like I said, what people think Kendrick is, that's Lupe. Kendrick ain't talking about the CCF, preemptive bombing, Osama and Obama and them. This is not, and this is no slight at Kendrick. This is not who he is, on his records. Lupe goes far. Like there's no, where he stands when it comes to these things. Whereas Kendrick's music is more so, he's reacting to the world around him. He's not sure. He's conflicted, right? Lupe is like, I have a very specific viewpoint on this. Deforestation and overlogging. Like, this is why I love Lupe's music. That's just me, though. We're going to do like another minute.
Liquor 2 comes out, and it really starts with the first single, Bitch Bad.
Yeah, on some real ish. Yeah, K-Dot is not a revolutionary like Lupe. I think you can look at them both as revolutionaries, but Kendrick is not socio-political in the same way that Lupe is. And when Lupe says these things, again, it's like the MLK thing that I mentioned earlier. It's not popular. Like, Lupe mentions Osama bin Laden and Obama in the same bar. Like, Osama and Obama and them. Like, they're both together. He mentions them in the same bar. Like, it wasn't popular to do that back then. Nowadays, like FD Signifier was saying, where you have these super lefty people, they're willing to do that. So if a rapper came out saying this today, they would be praised for it. Lupe was not praised for it as much back then, right?
This song was probably the last straw for a lot of people, especially black folks, in a time where the red...
Yeah, but Absol is... Yeah, Absol is more so like Lupe. That's facts.
And Black Manosphere.
Yeah, I'm from LA. I love Kendrick, but he ain't at that level. Right, and Kendrick doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be. But I feel like people get it confused. So oftentimes in videos, y'all hear me critique people saying or overreaching in Kendrick's lyrics, and I'll be like, Kendrick is not even... That's not even the type of MC he is for you to even be reaching like this. The way you looking at his lyrics is how you should be looking at Lupe. Because Lupe is actually a guy who goes there. Constantly, consistently goes there. I prefer Kendrick's approach when it comes to conscious political views, even if I don't agree with his views. It's just different. It's different approaches, right? Kendrick is more so looking at the world around him, whereas Lupe, he has a very hard line stance. So I don't know anyone who listened. I don't know if there's no way you could have been a Lupe fan, but then when he called Obama a terrorist, you was like mad at him for it. You just didn't listen to his music enough. He's like, obviously he feels this way. You know what I'm saying? I picked this Lupe over the abstract, technical lyrical modern Lupe all day. Well, Drogas Wave, listen to Drogas Wave, because he's also on this same type of vibe. I don't think Lupe has changed much. He's not flip-flopping in his stances. Really his stances have aged very well. Compared to when he dropped them, he was kind of seen as a little extreme. But he's not flip-flopping, you know what I mean? He's Muslim. He's always stood on that. And that's how his music has always come out. Muslim first, then black. It's going to be very interesting in a few minutes. Lupe going to cry and FD going to speak about Lupe is misunderstood as preachy, condescendent, while deeply caring. Yeah, okay. You said in a few minutes? Let's skip it a little bit.
Preachy attack on black women.
We'll do a couple more minutes. Couple more minutes.
Care of him and engages in normative, respectful aesthetics, but despite that, still sees herself and calls herself a bad bitch. So in his head, his nurturing, loving, respectable mother is a bad bitch, which, I mean, it's true. You can be a bad bitch and all those things, right?
Yeah, I don't think Lupe has changed. I think everyone else has in some way. Yeah. People have become more radicalized, either to the left or to the right. Whereas I feel Lupe has always kept his stance. I think that's very well said, the way you say that. Who said that? Vergis Lama. Yeah. Lupe hadn't really changed politically. Everyone else is changing.
Say this out loud. This is a no-win situation for this man.
I never thought that I would see that. It's just the idea of the role model today, for youth, and just the personification of this imagery, And I wrote the record because I have little sisters, and I walked in on them one day, and they were on the internet looking at Korean J-pop, and I was just thinking okay, I'm glad they're saying this, but I know she's a big Nicki Minaj fan, and she's this and she that. But I was thinking yo, what are the three little girls in the next house listening to?
Right.
And as somebody's walking in on them and they go to another page real quick, then go back. But also at the same time too, I give them the benefit of the doubt because it's kids who'll see that imagery and they won't internalize it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't want to take the record too serious, and that's why I said this record is the disclaimer. It's not a lesson. It's just me making conversation.
Okay, yeah. Skip it to pivot. We have to pivot. Oh, pressure burst pipes.
If you're watching this, and it's likely you've seen my video on the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef from 20.
I have not seen this.
24, and I talk in that video how it must have felt for Drake to see Kendrick emerge on the rap landscape. It immediately get love and adulation that he wasn't getting. Well, the same thing can probably be said for Lupe Fiasco, but from a slightly different standpoint. For more than a decade at this point, Lupe had been the hardcore hip-hop head darling that was still in the mainstream. A rapper's rapper of sorts, as well as being a megastar.
Yeah,
but as I said earlier, it seems like the streets never fully embraced him. He had two parts of the Triforce, but not the third.
Well, yeah, they looked at him as nerdy, and if you're street and old heads, they just I don't know what's wrong with him.
And then almost out of nowhere, here comes Kendrick Lamar.
You got Lupe talking about deforestation, Israeli, occupation, preemptive bombing, Osama and Obama them, and then niggas from the streets and old heads is the skateboarding rapper. Yeah. Y'all are part of the issue.
And he immediately has all three with his first major release. And Lupe can deny all he wants that has never bothered him. But if you paid attention to the way Lupe talks about Kendrick Lamar over the years,
he be hating.
He's constantly downplayed Kendrick's quality of work in public. This is something that my homie John Lewis already got into, so I won't
he look like Macwop.
Repeat too much of it, but I will say that the thesis of John's video is basically that
he got a lot of Rock Nation hats. Big Rock Nation fans, huh?
Lupe has always not had the connect.
Big words is too cool for them. They just don't listen to music. I don't understand people who have these hardline opinions, but then you don't even listen to what you're talking about. I think Kick Push had the tone for him being just a nerdy backpack rapper, and that image stuck for a lot of people. It only stuck if you didn't listen to his music. Because for a while, before I heard the whole Food and Liquor album, I thought Lupe was a skateboarding rapper too. But then you hear the whole album, and then you walk away from Food and Liquor. Once you hear the whole album, you walk away thinking, oh, this is a Muslim, pro-black rapper. You don't walk away thinking this is a skateboard rapper. Even the song Kick Push is about drug dealing. Y'all heard Kick Push too? It solidifies that it's that whole Kick Push story is about it's a double entendre for drug dealing. Push. You know what I mean?
Connection to the black community the same way that Kendrick does, and it shows through the music. And I don't agree with this. I think this isn't really an accurate assessment of what's happening, and I'll explain why later. But I do understand why John would say this if you just base it off what the music sounds like. We can blame Lupe.
Yeah, Lupe is corny how he'd be sneak dissing Kendrick, especially when he thinks K-Dot isn't that deep in his lyrics. Yeah, I've done a video on this before, and I'm going to, my last video on this was a couple of years ago. But eventually Lupe is going to come out talking crazy about Kendrick again. Then I'm just going to do a new video. I already have the thumbnail created for it. Like I have the video dang near already. And I know exactly what I'm going to say because I've done this video before. But where's my first video that I did about this? Yeah, right here. Kendrick versus Lupe. Is Lupe obsessed with Kendrick 4 years ago? Then I had another one a year ago. Lupe still jealous of Kendrick Lamar? Yeah, so eventually, Lupe is going to talk out the side of his neck about Kendrick again, and I'm going to drop yet another video.
Distance from the streets and the culture.
Yeah, I saw your comment.
That Lupe was too preachy or too conscious or too woke or whatever. That's part of it. But the other part is that Lupe's artistic
Lupe was the GOAT. Yeah, Lupe is my top 5.
Very black-centered. Maybe it's a byproduct of him being a nerd. Maybe it's a byproduct of seeing the harm that
black-centered. What do you mean?
This in the world. Well, when you go back and listen to Lupe's entire catalog, even to now, and you compare it to Kendrick Lamar, what you realize is that Kendrick's sound, the things that he chooses to rap over, the melodies, the samples, the cadence, the energy, the 1 and the 3 versus the 2 and the 4, you recognize that they're much more tied to sounds of black music and the black experience.
I don't agree with that. On Kendrick's first album, quote unquote album, because we don't know people, there's this whole thing with Section 80, right? The first song is called I Don't Give a Fuck If You Black, White, Asian, Hispanic. Damn it, that don't mean shit to me. Fuck your ethnicity is what it's called. I think maybe Kendrick's imagery is more black, and especially the To Pimp a Butterfly album is a very big callback to black music. But Lupe has an album with Kalen Ellis that's like jazz. I don't think one's music is more black than the other. I don't know.
Compared to what Lupe Fiasco had done. Like, it's really cool that Lupe was rapping over like Radiohead songs. That was something nobody had ever done before. But that's probably because there weren't that many niggas listening to Radiohead.
Well, now we're cherry picking because, yeah, Lupe rapped over the Radiohead joint on that mixtape. And I know this mixtape very intimately, Enemy of the State. So if we gon', I mean, oh my goodness. I just don't think I think it's a disingenuous take, right? Yeah, Lupe rapped over Radiohead, but he also raps over Say Something, which is Timbaland and Drake. He also raps over Popular Demand on that same mixtape, which is The Clips and Pharrell. He raps over Thank You, which is Jay-Z. He raps over Yoga Flame, which is Lil Wayne. He raps over Turned Up, which is Roscoe Dash and Waka Flocka. He raps over So Ghetto, Jay-Z. He raps over Angels, Diddy. Are we gonna take the one track where he rapped over Radiohead?
Back then. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar is rapping over old Janet Jackson melodies. Lupe could probably easily make something like Rigor Mortis a fan favorite for hip hop heads and Kendrick Lamar fans. But could he make Shireen, aka Master Splinter's daughter? Could he make Don't Kill My Vibe? I kind of don't think.
I mean, well, Lupe's. So I don't understand. It's like, is Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe like, are you looking at that FD as like Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is black music and then Lupe's aren't? I just don't understand the critique. I would say Lupe's equivalent to Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is Paris, Tokyo. You know what I mean? Do y'all understand what he's saying in the chat? Like, if I'm misunderstanding what he's saying, let me know. Could Lupe make Shireen? What do you mean, like a storytelling song? Like, I don't understand. Not a fan of Enemy of the State. A lot of the beats didn't match with his style of rapping. I think Lupe killed all those beats. I still listen to those songs. Lupe over Popular Demand was crazy. I like that more than the original.
I think so.
Do you think that Lupe can get the success like the Clips is getting again? I'll have to think about it. I really don't care about sales. To me, Lupe is still successful because he's making great music. He's making the music he wants to make, right? But in terms of sales, I don't know.
With songs like Luther and songs that he did with Beyonce and Rihanna, like that's where Kendrick Lamar is, and Lupe's still making songs with Skylar Green and Guy Sebastian. And don't get me wrong, those songs are still good in their own way.
Music that's bumped in the strip club, yeah. Like
Lupe does work with other black artists.
I don't care how many black artists Lupe works with. I just don't. I want Lupe to work with the artists that he's good with. Matthew Santos and Soundtrack. Lupe can only release music with those features. Soundtrack on the production and Matthew Santos for the occasional hook or bridge, and I will be perfectly fine with that. Like, I'm not counting how many black artists he's working with. It's just not that important to me. I believe he's speaking about the ability to make songs that are light, but with the meaning, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Can Lupe make a song that can reach multiple layers of the rap audience and get his point across and make it sound good and work commercially? Yeah, Lupe's done that. Lupe has many, many hit records that are all rap. I think he's saying that Lupe doesn't make hood music. Right. K-Dot is culturally from the hood of the West Coast. And his music is more on black culture, whereas I think Lupe is about black politics. The only reason y'all view Kendrick as like this culturally hood, that's some recent shit. Y'all, like, people was not looking at Kendrick. Like, yo, these podcasts like Back on Fig and like all these hood dudes, Kendrick was looked at as the weirdo rapper too, up until recently, like in the last year. It wasn't like, yo, people was bumping Kendrick in the hood and all this. This is some recent shit. Right? Like, it wasn't like, yo, niggas just bumping Dipsey and YG and, you know, Mozzie O and Kendrick. No, Kendrick, even here on the West Coast, for most of his career, up until like the last year, was looked at as weirdo rap. Kendrick acknowledged it on To Pimp a Butterfly, on Hood Politics. Don't tell me they got you on some weirdo rap shit, nigga. You know, what do you say? Something in skinny jeans. K-Dot is culturally from the hood of the West Coast. Well, Lupe is from the south side of Chicago. And his music is more on black culture. Lupe's music is about black culture also. He say, she say. I don't know. I think y'all view Kendrick differently because of the GNX album. But before that, it wasn't like Kendrick was looked at as weirdo rap, backpack rap, the same way Lupe was, very similarly. Up until like a year ago. Lupe has a Grammy with Jill Scott. So exactly what is he saying? Right. Yeah, she has songs with, right, exactly. Jill Scott. Like, so you say Kendrick, so FD signifiers say, oh, well, can Lupe make, you know, Luther, like how Kendrick has Luther with SZA. Well, Lupe's Luther is Daydreaming with Jill Scott. Can you make Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe? Lupe's Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is Paris, Tokyo. Like, I just think it's stupid to be like, one guy's music is blacker than the other. And like, I'm not really counting how many black artists. It's just seems like a stupid point, with all due respect. People still ain't bumping Kenny like that in the hood though, right? Like, come on. Great minds think alike, yeah. Power Part 5 was very cultural, even though I know your issues with that usage of the word. Never been to America, don't know about the hood. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by it's cultural. But yeah.
But the sounds we've gotten from Lupe have always been a distance from the sounds that black people are most interested in. And when you combine that with the woke, conscious elements of his themes, you see why he developed a perception of being an outsider. To put it blunt, Lupe's music sound aesthetic is less black family reunion cookout and more white suburban homecoming dance. I mean, when you hear Superstar, probably Lupe's biggest hit, are you seeing a bunch of black folks vibing around a grill or a bunch of white kids with plastic red cups in their hands diving into a swimming pool?
I mean, I was in a frat and niggas is not. FD, with all due respect, this point is so fucking stupid. I was in a frat. The music that the frat boys play is what you would associate with hood music. Them frat boys love Juicy J. They love Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne. That's never at any frat party that we hosted or that I've been to did anybody ever play Superstar by Lupe Fiasco at all. The music that you would associate the most with the hood and cookouts, that's what they play at the frat parties. They love them some Tyga, some Waka Flocka, then they love Juicy J. Wiz Khalifa back then. They wasn't playing Superstar by Lupe Fiasco. This, and he's entitled to his opinion, because I got some dog shit takes too. Well, FD, this is a dog shit take. Yo, FD, you've been having a dog shit take for like 6 straight minutes. I ain't gonna lie to you. Asheroth. Yeah, Asheroth, but you know, in college with the frat, and I've been to many frat parties, they have never played Lupe Superstar. Ever. Them niggas is listening to Roscoe Dash, especially Flocka, Gucci Mane. That's what they listening to at frat parties, bro. I'm not lying to you. Yeah, facts. Frat play Gucci and Waka. The most N-words, the better. Yeah, Boosie, yeah. Tech Nine, I never heard Tech Nine at the frat parties. Right, so yeah, anyways.
We just got to keep it real.
Hey, we all got dog shit takes, man. I got many dog shit takes. It's
gonna feel hyperbolic.
I had homeboys who used to call Kendrick boring. They only mess with Dog Pound, Quick, Daz, Gang, Corrupt. Yeah, the whole Kendrick being super associated with hood culture, and he's, you know, the hood culture, and he represents the black, you know, hood culture and all this. This is like some recent shit in the last year. Kendrick was looked at as weirdo backpack rap for the vast majority of his career. These are the facts.
Why?
Oh, wrong button.
Facts.
These are the facts.
Why?
Well, we hit the Y button. We didn't hit the facts button. Okay.
Remember how I said way back in a white rapper video that if Mac Miller were black, he would basically be Wale? Well, if Lupe were white, considering some of the edgy song concepts and all the alternative pop songs and the lack of black aesthetics, and the fact that he again started a punk rock band later in his career, he low-key be considered Macklemore or maybe Logic, and probably would not have gotten the love.
That's crazy. Yo, ain't Logic black? Why y'all putting Logic in the white rapper bag? That nigga's black. The faces on the video, the last words of the song are the culture. Frat music is never something complex. Yeah. FD thinks frat rap is corny. Hood rap is, yo, a lot. I don't know if y'all been to frat parties like that. I don't know what y'all think they listening to at frat parties, but it's not what you think. You think they not listening to Not Like Us and, you know, whacked out murals at frat parties? Like, they listening to whatever they think is cool. Like, they listening to whatever they think we listening to. Yeah. Yeah, FD lost me on this section. It's all good, though. You know, it's all good. Speaking about Kenny, you think he's going to stay in the spotlight after the tour or go back to Peace? I don't know. I think he's going to release the deluxe version of GNX, honestly.
That he had off his early one to begin with. Mind you,
yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy take considering a lot of punk bands have black musicians. Yeah, there's a lot of different things I can say, but I'm going to just let him make his point.
Lupe is also on record of saying that Logic is a better rapper than Kendrick Lamar.
That's a crazy take.
I think lyrically, is King Los. Is Logic is Logic.
Logic over Kendrick?
Right?
Love Logic.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Lupe was, you know, I don't know what he was smoking.
Yes.
Over Kendrick?
Yeah, crazy.
It's hard being a Lupe fan. This was the sad impact.
Yeah, I was literally a DJ at a lot of frat parties. I love Lupe, but nah, I wasn't playing his music. Right. Yeah. I DJ'd a couple frat parties. Like, I was assigned to be the, you know, playlist person. Juicy J, brother. Juicy J, Wiz Khalifa. That's what people love. Ty Dolla $ign.
Pretty good album that somehow
2 Chainz was played a lot at frat parties. I don't know where the idea that we listening to Superstar by Lupe Fiasco at frat parties, but we wasn't, bro. And I've been to not just my frat, I've been to other frats parties, and we've went to other schools and gone to their frat parties on Frat Row, walking down Frat Row. You can hear what each house is playing. We wasn't playing Superstar. I'm just saying.
Pushed Lupe even further away from the high point of his career. He was running the label by himself at this point. He had lost all the momentum he had a couple of years earlier. A large chunk of his.
Right, so we're gonna jump ahead a little bit. It's okay. I'm not mad at the take. I think it's an odd take, but it's all good. He kind of looked like the dude from Math Hoffa podcast. What's the dude from Math Hoffa podcast? But let me see. Who's the dude from Math Hoffa podcast with the glasses? He's a hater? No, I don't think he's a hater. I mean, that's his take. He's entitled to have his take. Like I said, I got some horrible takes too. So it's all good. Who was that dude? Y'all know who I'm talking about? Yeah, Juicy J Banza Maker Dance. Yeah. The whole Blue Dream and Lean mixtape. That went platinum at frat parties. This dude right here, this is what he look like. I don't know if I can get a close-up on this. Oh, dang, I can't get a close-up on that. If I knew his name. But anyway, whatever. Punchlines and double entendres, though. Mixtape logic was on a level close to Kenny. I see the vision. If you're just talking about just raw lyrics, but in terms of just being a total rapper, in totality, Logic is nowhere near Kendrick. Mecca, yeah, Mecca. That's what he looked like. Okay, yeah. Let's pull him up. Yeah, facts. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Ski. Low key, right? Low key. If we can, oh, I got my ad blocker. That's why it's not pulling up. But y'all see the vision. Yeah, he looked like Mecca a little bit, a lot of it.
Make structural changes in Chicago. Unlike most big rappers, up until recently, Lupe stayed living where he was at. Lupe just moved from Chicago a couple of years ago to go to Boston for MIT, which we'll get to later, but he didn't move to LA or New York or Miami or wherever like many other rappers do once they get big. He stayed with the community for years up until this point. This is the misunderstanding.
I think FD went to Morehouse. I visited Morehouse before. It's cool. I like the University of California. But shout out to Morehouse, man. Shout out to Spelman and Clark Atlanta. Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's ironic because Lupe was never as deep or complex as many of his hardcore fans made him out to be, or we'd have never gotten lasers. But he's also not so apart from the streets as his music might tell us either. He's just different. But not so different as to see himself apart from the struggle he came from. In few moments, drive home his connection to Chicago and what he really feels like, than him breaking down in an interview with Sway after he watched an old video interview.
When you first came out, we took a trip and we wanted to...
Well, so this is going to be the last little part we look at. Someone in the chat wanted me to get to this part specifically. That's why I skipped ahead right here.
What your life was like.
We actually watched a lot of this. We probably watched at least 70% of this video, which I didn't expect to do. So
we did My Block Chicago. Check this out.
Famous Wilson Skate Park, north side of Chicago.
A lot of people may think, well, damn, if he grew up in this area, maybe he'll come a lot more harder edge, a lot more aggressively. But
yeah, initially I did. Initially I was entertaining this. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to change this.
Well, that's the ignorant people. There's so many different personality types in any given hood. By hood, I mean black neighborhood. It's not just a hard ass, street, gang affiliated character. There's a lot of different characters. So to be surprised that you get someone like a Lupe, it's not surprising if you actually have been to the hood. It's not just one personality type there. Like, what the fuck?
Because I didn't know how. You know what I'm saying? I don't like this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This ain't cool to me. You know what I'm saying? I tell my peoples in their face, like, this ain't cool. I don't like this. This ain't how it's supposed to be. A lot of these kids, when they go home, it's just like being outside. You know what I'm saying? So if I can create something, a meeting place or something like that for them out here so they can have that. Because right now, they ain't got it, and it ain't no music. I can't make, ain't no song that I can make. There's no We Are the World that I'm going to make, you know what I'm saying, that's going to unify and make all this better.
Wow, man, that was, man, that brought tears to your eyes. Take your time with it, man.
Dudes in that video, you know, in and out of prison, a couple Fed cases. Then there's ghosts. You see people that ain't there. You know, you see, and you just trying to make it better.
Nothing's changed.
And nothing changed.
Nothing for the better.
Nah.
This is the real Lupe Fiasco. Caring, compassionate, community-driven, misunderstood. And because of this constant misunderstanding from the very community he's done the most work for, along with constant battles with his label and the industry as a whole, I think Lupe early on embraced being in a role that he's probably been in most of his life. One as an outsider, a misanthrope, a pariah, being a lot like Tetsuo. I haven't talked about this a lot, but if you know Lupe, you know he's no stranger to conflict with anyone. In fact,
Okay, so I think that's a good place to, you know, put the ribbon, however the saying goes, put the bow on the ribbon or whatever. Yo, shout out FD. I'm glad anytime someone doing a Lupe video, I'm happy for it. This one video, this dude has such a big reach. This is almost at 500,000 views in just 4 days. This is going to drive more people to Lupe's music, especially people who are newer fans of Kendrick. They are now going to discover Lupe. It's like, if you're a fan of Kendrick, you gotta listen to Lupe. That's like playing GTA 4 without playing GTA San Andreas. Like that's like you start The Witcher 3, but you didn't play The Witcher 2. Like you got, if you're a fan of Kendrick, you gotta go back and listen to Lupe, because Lupe is the precursor. Right, and he's still going. Lupe is still good. He's still going. I don't miss any Lupe project. I've listened to every single thing Lupe has ever put out. I don't miss it to this day. Lupe is a day one listen. There are very few rappers who are day one listens for me, especially nowadays where I don't really have time. Lupe is still a day one listen. So even though, like, as content creators, we're gonna have takes that we disagree with each other with, so that's not a big deal. I disagree with some things he said. That's his opinion. But I do appreciate FD Signifier for putting his video out there. You know, Lupe Fiasco career retrospective for no reason. It's not like Lupe's in the news right now. It's not like he's got a rollout. He just put this out there for the community. So I do appreciate that. So yeah, make sure I hit a like on this video. Make sure y'all hit that like too. We're gonna read the chat, then we're gonna be up out of here. You know what I mean? We actually watched a lot of this. So that was a good video, FD. I only plan to go to the 30-minute mark, but we jumped around enough. We probably watched a good hour of this hour and a half. So I think that was good. So we're gonna read these last few chats. If you got anything to say, you better post it now, because we're reading the chats. Or forever hold your peace. So Hunter says, during the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers era, people were heavily questioning blackness and status as a backpack rapper. I don't get the Kendrick is more hood argument. Yeah, I think FD was trying to say Kendrick's music is more associated with like blackness and stuff like that, which I just don't like. I don't agree with the examples he gave, right? Well, Lupe can make, or Kendrick can make a Luther. Well, Lupe, like Greg said, he has Daydream with Jill Scott. Lupe got a Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. Lupe got Paris, Tokyo. Like, I don't even think it's worth looking at it like this. Whose music is more black or more associated with blackness? That's not even a worthwhile way to look at it for me. And it's compounded by the fact that Kendrick was not looked at this. He was not looked at as this, hero of the hood or anything like that until recently. For most of his career, even until like up to Damn and Mr. Morale, Kendrick was looked at as a backpack weirdo rapper. The whole he's, all this other shit, this is something recent. You get what I mean? Like, so anyway, Lupe can be too abstract at times and it can put people off from his music. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, I get that point. I don't like how Lupe put himself above others. It's not hood have different people. It's the I'm different. Well, I don't think he puts himself above others. And I don't think Lupe's music comes off as like he's just being like, I'm different. I think he's just rapping how he raps. He's rapping over stuff that he wants to rap over, and that's that. Kendrick rapped over something very, I can't remember what he rapped over, but he rapped over some left field stuff before too, like how Lupe rapped over Radiohead. What was that? Was it on the Kendrick EP? I have to think about it. What? Yeah, Kent knows the Spiteful Chant. The Spiteful Chant sample. So we mentioned how Lupe rapped over Radiohead, and FD mentioned how that is an example of how Lupe's music doesn't really connect like with black people or something like that. But yeah, Kendrick rapped over Woodkid's Iron, and he still ain't get this sample cleared. I don't know. The 70s had some wild hoods and all the Jit Rat comics, and wanted to be Bruce Lee, essentially LARPing back. Do you think that's LARPing? Puts a different perspective. Hope you don't regret following my idea. That was good. That was good. Thank you for the recommendation. Where are we at in the chat? Vegas Dev said I respect him even talking about Lupe, because most creators don't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're allowed to disagree on points. Y'all know that's a big part of my channel is watching. We don't agree with everything. We disagree respectfully. Good counter argument. We move on. So, you know, I mostly respect FD for even doing this video about Lupe, because Lupe is in my top 5. Yeah, I'm blocked on Twitter, but he's still in my top 5. Like, his music is very important to me, right? One of Lupe's albums recently went platinum. He got a lot of platinum records. Lupe on a new song with A$AP Ferg and A-Witch called Wax On, Wax Off. I'm not sure I want to hear A$AP Ferg in 2025, I'm not gonna lie. Lupe still put out quality projects. The masses just don't listen because they like microwave music. By quality, I mean one of the best of the year every year he drops. That's true. Yeah, when Samurai came out, that was definitely one of the 10 best albums to come out that year. When the drill music joint came out, definitely one of the 10 best. Drogus Wave, definitely one of the 10 best. That's facts.
Facts!
Lupe is one of them for me as well. I will give him harsh criticism if I don't like the album. Yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, an older Lupe song breakdown will be a good vid. Lupe's songs are so dense. There are songs by Lupe that I've listened to 100 times, to where if I listen to it right now, I would catch something new that I didn't hear before. Somewhere in the song, I would catch something new. So I don't even think I'm qualified to break down one of Lupe's songs. It's too much there. Zero said, if you listen to Kendrick, you have to listen to Ab Soul, not Lupe. Well, if you listen to Ab Soul, you got to listen to Lupe. Because see, Ab Soul, he didn't have Lupe and Kendrick got the total package as rappers. Lyrical, songwriter, can make hits, can make underground joints, can make joints where they just rapping crazy. Ab Soul don't got the whole package like that. So yeah, if you listen to Kendrick, you should listen to Ab Soul. But if you're going to listen to Ab Soul, you need to go listen to Lupe. Because Ab Soul ain't that complete package like Lupe is. Speaking of, can you do a breakdown on Ab Soul and Kendrick? I did a breakdown on one of their songs. Let me find it. The song is called Rapper Shit. The video is called The Only Rapper Kendrick Feared. Yeah, and that rapper is Ab Soul. So that's actually relatively recent. That was a couple months ago I did that. Which version of Could Have Been do you prefer? The original or the remake? Could Have Been. What song is this? It's by Lupe? Could Have Been. I don't even. What is this song? I don't hear.
Burger, attempting to murder, paralyzed.
That don't sound familiar to me. What mixtape was this on?
Be working at Joe's, chain snatching, jerking.
Oh no, I do know this. I know this. Yeah, I only heard one version though. The original or the remake? I think I only heard this version.
Pumping your gas and nothing at all.
Oh, Sunshine. That's a great song too. I'm gonna be in my Lupe bag. I actually don't own any Lupe vinyls. I need to go buy Food and Liquor. Lupe acts like he's smarter than everybody. Well, he is smarter than a lot of people. I mean, there was a time where Lupe was looked down on for saying, you know, free Gaza and all this, and now everyone's on a free Gaza. Yeah, you're going to feel the type of way about that when you're just consistently ahead of the mark of everybody else. But yeah, he's a little pretentious for sure. But if you smart, you smart. I mean, what can you say? The new Lupe single produced by RZA. Okay, I'm blocked by Lupe, so I don't really see when he dropped new music, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm blocked, so I only hear when other people are talking about it. I didn't even know he had a song out with Lupe. I mean, with RZA. A video like the Rose Clique you did on Nipsey might be a motivation for some people to go listen. Yeah, that's a great song. To your point, I listened to Gotta Eat, where he rapping from the perspective of a burger. Yeah, like a month ago and caught something new. Yeah, the whole paddy wagon scheme. I love that song by Lupe. Gotta eat. Niggas gotta eat and shit get greasy. Streets be like, feed me. Great song. I own all the Lupe vinyls, even the promo called be a FNL. I need to get FNL because that's my favorite Lupe joint, Food and Liquor. So if I get any Lupe vinyl, it's gonna be Food and Liquor. Then it will be The Cool. And then probably Drogas Wave. Next time Lupe drops, I'm gonna buy it. I don't know why I didn't buy Samurai. I didn't buy that album. I might have bought the digital copy. But yeah, I bought the Clips joint though. I've seen my Clips album, right? Let God sort them out. Bought this one. I was gonna buy the Alfredo, because you know Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist, they're dropping Alfredo too. But I wasn't really a big fan of Alfredo 1. So I'm kind of hesitant. Alchemist is, for as great as he is, he be hit or miss sometimes. So I don't really feel comfortable buying the album without hearing it first. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I need to hear what Alchemist is on. If Alchemist is in his bag, like he was in his bag on Fetty and, you know, on a Mob Deep joints, on Covert Coupe and all that with Currency, I buy it. But like Alchemist be hit or miss a lot nowadays, like the past 4 or 5 years. So I don't know. But I was very close to buying the Alfredo too. But I'm like, I wasn't feeling that first one enough to even take that risk. I know Freddie Gibbs gonna do his thing. It's Alchemist that I'm worried about. Yeah, 2025, crazy. Everyone held their tapes because of that beef. Okay, yeah, Lupe stands are pretentious like Lupe. Yeah, we are pretentious. If the Clips are on that Tyler album, he gonna get hella spins on Monday. Wait, Tyler got an album? Like Tyler's dropping? What you mean? What's he talking about? Tyler already dropped. Oh, this is 59 minutes ago. He literally just released on Monday. What? He just dropped like 4 or 5 months ago. Tyler reveals new album, Don't Tap the Glass, will release on Monday. Tyler set to release his new album, Don't Tap the Glass, on Monday. On Friday evening, his golf weighing site updated with merch. Wow. Yo, we eating good. Yo, as a content creator, this is great, man. Like, we got Clips, we got Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs, we got Tyler. This is how it should be, man. You know what I mean? 9th album. See, I was streaming when he dropped this. Let's see what he's talking about. See, I'm not going to buy this because I really not a huge fan of Tyler's music like that. But I'm always down to be surprised. Like I would love for Tyler to drop something that I really, really like. But I don't know if he's going to do that. I need to hear a single. I usually don't listen to singles before albums drop. But I would need to hear what type of timing Tyler is going to be on this album before I commit. The only Tyler album I bought was his first album, which was Goblin. Yeah, so, wow, y'all broke the news to me. I didn't even know Tyler was dropping. Yeah, so we got Tyler, we got Freddie Gibbs, we got the Clips. What else we got? We got Nas dropping, right? What happened to Nas? Wasn't he like gonna put out a new record every month on Mass Appeal? What happened with that? Lupe next month, yeah. Yeah, let's get it, man. Yeah. I Hate Whatever too. From album, it's okay, yeah. Wasn't expecting another Tyler drop. Yeah, this year is hella good in terms of music. Yeah, I mean, it's about time. We had a good year. We need to finish strong though. We still only about halfway through the year. We got to finish strong. But after this Clips album, that was a great album, very great album. Album of the year so far. But let's see what else we got. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get, deluxe version of GNX. Drake gonna release something. Hopefully Drake can drop something that's really good. I'm not tribal towards any of these artists, right? I like some more than others, but I would just rather prefer to hear great music from everyone. Even from artists that I don't really like Tyler and Drake. I would like them to drop something that I really like. You know what I mean? But we got content. We like Wack 100 say, yo, we got content. As long as we got new music, we got content. Let's get it. Cardi B and Sweetie. All right, chill. Yeah, Joey's dropping something, right? Joey he put out the title to his album, Lonely at the Top. So we got Joey coming too. Pause. The fact that all this is happening and Joey wants to drop. Yeah, come on, Joey, drop something, man. Joey's never released a bad album. Joey has 0 bad albums. So Jid don't really be dropping great projects to me. So I stopped getting excited for new Jid albums like in 2019 or like 2020. Oh yeah, Raekwon dropped today. Okay, see, I saw the Omerta joint with Nas. I didn't realize Raekwon dropped a whole joint. See, I've been literally working all day. Like I went to work, I got off work, I went to the gym, then I came back and streamed. So I don't know what's going on. Emperor's New Clothes. Okay, we got content, baby. Let's go. Yeah, Jid too. Yeah, Jid. Yo, whatever. Did you listen to the Skepta and Joyner diss tracks? Yeah, Skepta's, the accent for me. I know that's a super basic, like a basic bitch, excuse, but I just can't get over the accent. So I didn't hear Joyner's response. I saw that Joyner responded, but I didn't hear it yet. So, but anyway, obviously, we got some music to listen to. And Nas is dropping with DJ Premier later this year. That's the big album that's coming out, Nas and Primo. So, and I think I saw it was like the Fat Beats 20th anniversary, right? Or was it the 30th? Because I got an email about Fat Beats. So I think they're having like a vinyl sale or something. There's a couple of vinyls I want to get. I want to get Pilot Talk 2. I got Pilot Talk 1. So we gonna see, yeah. Murs, y'all heard Murs got ghostwriters? I couldn't believe it. Anyway, yeah, we don't want to shit on Murs right now. Okay, I'm pleasantly surprised. We got new Raekwon. We got Tyler dropping on Monday. We got content, man. So I'm excited. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all join the response is fire. If Joey never dropped a bad album, Jid and Denzel neither. Yeah, I don't think Jid has bad albums, but I just don't be excited to hear his albums. He got good features and stuff though. But yeah, anyways, let me get up out of here, man. I've held y'all too long. We got plenty of music coming out, so that means we got plenty of videos. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Top5rapwebsite.com. Peace.
Peace.